It's WFUV New York, public media from Fordham University. Come for the music, stay for the community. Listen at 90.7 FM or at WFUV.org.
Welcome in to One on One, New York's longest running sports call-in show. I am Tucker Austin, joined by Joe Henry and Owen Kelty. Brendan Shorey, Griffin Stevenson, and Chris Carino are alongside us as well for day two, live from the Media Center inside of the Moscone Center West in downtown San Francisco in sunny California. Today's Thursday, February 5th. Guys, we had more media ability today. The Patriots and the Seahawks both had players and head coaches available to us earlier today. But before we get into the nuts and bolts of what's going to go on today's show, how are you guys doing today?
Well, I'd be remiss if I didn't admit that I'm a bit tired. None of us have gotten a lot of sleep. Now, I am in my sports manager's suite, so things are a lot sweeter, pun intended, for me than for most. Owen, I'm sure you are maybe a little bit upset to hear that.
Yeah, the sports manager suite is upsetting me every single day when I consistently wake up every morning and hit my head on the kitchen table. Last night was much worse. The first night I kind of found a comfortable little corner, but then last night I was on the ground and I hit something and I woke around 4 and I really did. I was convinced it was at least 6:30 in the morning, too late to get up, and then I look at my phone, 4 a.m. It was like seeing the pearly gates. I was so happy. I had 2 more hours of sleep. They weren't good hours of sleep because I would wake up and half my body would just be numb from the floor. I had to use my dirty clothes as another form of pillow. It's been rough down there, but anything to be here. I know you in your sports manager suite. I'm hearing complaints about tired from the people who have rooms. Me, B. Shorey, Brendan Shorey,
Kelty, I haven't said a word.
Griffin Stevenson, we're out there rocking it on the hardwood, sleeping on the floor every night, and no, you don't hear us complaining about being tired. We're happy to be here and ready to keep it going.
All right, well, in that case, Kelty, we'll look for some extra pillows for you. But before we kick it to our first break, I got to get through what we're going to be talking about today. We've got Patriots and Seahawks availability, of course, in the first hour. In the second hour, we have interviews with some guys from Game Talk and as well as Judy Batista. We're also going to talk about some NFL honors. And in the final hour, we're going to get into some more game previews, just like the final hour from last time. But in the next segment, we're going to have a very, very special interview. Stick around for that. We'll be right back with more one-on-one. welcome you back to the Moscone Center in downtown San Francisco, California. Tucker Austin and Owen Kelty with you. And we're joined by a very, very special guest, Mr. Major Jameson, call sign Depot, a major in the California Air National Guard, who is tasked with the aerial defense over Levi's Stadium during Super Bowl 60. What a task to be charged with. First off, thank you for your service to our nation, and also thank you for coming on the show today.
Oh, yeah, gents. Thanks for having me. It's my pleasure. I'm here to talk about whatever you guys would like, but specifically NORAD is North American Aerospace Defense Command, and that's basically the Air Force being in charge of protecting the skies above the Super Bowl to keep a safe environment for the fans and the players.
Yeah, so
Super cool.
Yeah,
that's just awesome.
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
Can you describe a little bit what your job will be like on Sunday? Because I imagine you can describe it better than I can.
Yeah, so basically NORAD, the agency is going to coordinate with they already have for several months, but with the FAA, local law enforcement, CBP, DHS, all those agencies to basically create a 30-mile ring around Levi's Stadium, and then air traffic control and aircraft controllers will make sure to keep the planes clear of that. And so the coordinating starts, obviously everybody has to know that that's happening so that they can avoid what's called a temporary flight restriction.
Yeah.
That's super cool. Have you ever had to do something like this before for any other game? Like, is this something that happens with every single game usually, like every NFL game, or is it just like a big game type of thing?
Yeah, this is like a big game type of thing. So generally it's going to happen for a Super Bowl or some kind of political event like the presidential inauguration, or another example I can think of is, United Nations meetings, big high-profile events with a lot of people. You really got to keep it safe. What happens? But it's still a huge deal, and hopefully we can build on it every time we do it.
And have you done it before?
My squadron has been tasked before to do temporary flight restrictions in the past, especially with all the activity we get with sporting events in California. I mean, I think it was 2 years ago we had SoFi as a Super Bowl, and I think that's coming up soon, maybe next year. So we get a lot of action in California setting up those temporary flight restrictions. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun too.
You guys will be on that for the World Cup probably too.
Oh, I forgot about the World Cup. So something like that probably, you get a lot of fans. I mean, there's a lot of, soccer fans.
Yeah, and so you mentioned multiple agencies at work here. A lot of coordination has to go on between these different groups. Specifically, I want to talk about, is anybody going to be in the air? We got people in jets, helicopters all around the stadium?
Yep, so NORAD has various types of aircraft. We got fighters, we got early warning aircraft. That's like, I think of the AWACS as the plane with a big antenna on it, as well as aerial refueling aircraft, as well as local law enforcement and stuff on the ground. Everybody's in the loop. It's even air traffic controllers, stuff like that. So all that coordinating has to go on. So fighters specifically will be tasked. NORAD fighters will be keeping the airspace safe. Yeah,
and you mentioned aerial refuelers. So the people who go up, they're going to be up there for the duration of the game, right?
That's right. We might not know how long that'll take. A football game.
It goes to overtime.
Yeah, it goes to OT. Hope it does. That'd be awesome. So it could take a long time. So you need the aerial refueling platform, a tanker up there. They'll take those aircraft off, and so the fighters can refuel and just stay up there. Watching from the probably high nosebleeds.
Yeah. Is it a good seat?
Yeah, it's cool. It's a unique seat. I don't know if you can see the game.
No idea what's going on. You have the game on your phone. You're just flying around. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, they got to ask ATC, air traffic control, what the score is. Probably, better than, the military planes. We don't have like Wi-Fi like, on United or whatever where they can see the score. So I'm jealous of those guys.
Yeah, how early do you talk about maybe staying out after, like if it's overtime, how early do you have to get up there for this? Is it just a couple hours before game time, or is it kind of a whole day thing once kind of festivities start around the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I don't actually know how early, but yeah, I imagine like kind of as the group gets together with all the high-profile, people, big population centers, stuff like that, we'll want to have the fighters up airborne and being able to protect the airspace.
And what does prep look like for something like this? I imagine there's some kind of like test flights and practice that goes on to make sure that all the pieces fit together the right way.
Yeah, prep is wild. Like as far as we talked about the coordination, that's been going a long time. But as far as practicing, I mean, they did a rehearsal of intercepting a violator of the temporary flight restriction just with the Civil Air Patrol, and somewhere on social media those shots are coming out, and that's basically shout out to the Civil Air Patrol. They're an Air Force auxiliary that simulates being a distressed aircraft that flies in, and then the fighters safely escort them. So stuff like that, training NORAD fighter pilots and ground crews are training for these kind of events pretty much year round. Yeah. Even without the Super Bowl looming.
Yeah, no, always got to be ready.
Yeah, always ready.
Always ready for something.
That's right.
So how will the game day process go? Once all the practice is done, it's now time for the game. It's almost like actually playing in a Super Bowl a little bit.
Yes.
It's really crazy. But how does the game day process go? And do you have like a pregame ritual or like a pregame meal that you like to eat before?
Oh, yeah, I probably need to come up with something good. I don't know that I do anything different. You want to get a lot of sleep. You want to make sure everybody knows that they're on the same, we call it the same sheet of music, and then coordinating with at least, you see the flyover, it's coordinating with the Air Force and the Navy, interagency stuff. It's all about the team kind of coming together to make the job happen. And that's the fun part. It's not the Super Bowl, but it's not unlike, how the Seahawks and the Pats are going to, work as a team to, enforce that airspace.
Something we've all kind of been talking about with us between each other is just like we're here, but it doesn't feel like a job because you're at the Super Bowl. Is that how it feels like for you guys when you're doing something like this, being around, like protecting around the Super Bowl? Does it feel like less of a job and more of just something you're more excited for, and you're up there and it's more like, oh, I'm helping protect the Super Bowl? It doesn't feel like I'm going
to be here. I mean, I'm here too, so I'm having just as much fun even today. But as far as like how the flying goes, you want to be amped up. You want to be, really into it, having a good time, and that way you perform better and you're excited about it, and that does make it a lot more fun and enjoyable.
Yeah, and so I guess to get specific, did you kind of have to volunteer for a job like this, or is this something that you're like assigned by a superior?
Yeah, it really depends. So something like this, probably, I wanted to do this, so I volunteered. It's a really good deal. I mean, it's cool to be here with you guys and stuff. This is something that generally people want to do, but sometimes people are busy and stuff, and we get tasked with stuff we didn't necessarily volunteer for. And then the military term is there's voluntold as well, where you were asked to volunteer. This is not the case for anybody participating in this event specifically. Like, they were all super amped up and they wanted to be there. And then I think there was some excitement about the 49ers going the distance too. So we had some good 49ers interest, like. Just being close by would have been really cool, obviously. So that's why we got so much interest for this event.
And I imagine when you have that volunteer aspect, you have people who really want to be a part of that team. It makes that coordination that much easier because you have that buy-in from everybody who's involved.
Yeah, absolutely. It's probably no different for you guys. Like, that no one begged you to come out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But just to wrap things up here, we don't gonna keep you too long. I know you have to get back to the airport. But the United States turning 250 years old this year. The NFL is celebrating that milestone at the Super Bowl. They've got patches, all kind of stuff going on to celebrate that milestone. How much more special does the anniversary make this assignment?
Oh, it makes it awesome. It's just as far as what NORAD's doing, that's the Air Force. That's not a public event necessarily. That's just what the Air Force does. And it's an honor to be able to protect the United States. Happy birthday, America. And being able to be a part of that, yes, it does make it more special because we're just doing what we do, and it's going to be a good time.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. Thank you for defending the nation. Thank you for taking the time with us today. Major Depot Jamison going to be working on the defense of Levi's Stadium this weekend. Thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us.
We'll be right back with more one-on-one after this.
Welcome back in to One-on-One live from San Francisco, the site of Super Bowl 60 here with Brendan Shorey and Owen Kelty. Guys, day 2 of official media availability for us, day 3 overall. And it started early morning once again with the New England Patriots. Got to hear from Mike Vrabel and Drake May in a press conference setting, and then media scrums with just about any other player you could imagine. We got to talk to a lot of them today and yesterday as well. So let's go over it. Brendan, first I want to ask you, and I'm not sure if there's something that sticks out here, but you think about this morning compared to last morning, was there anything palpably different in terms of the types of answers you heard, the energy that you felt, anything that you witnessed today that felt different from yesterday that was remarkable to you?
I don't know about different, or not a lot different to me. Maybe you could kind of sense it, and you could see it when we talked to Matt Collins when he explained why he did what he did, and we'll get into that in a minute.
Yeah.
But obviously, it's a long week. These players are available starting at least on Tuesday. They're available Wednesday. They were available today as well. So they are here. They're talking to media all week long. It gets boring. It gets tiring. And so I'm sure that these players were probably getting a little tired of answering the same questions over and over. They did a good job at not really showing that as much, but you could kind of tell they were just a little antsy to kind of get out and actually finally play the game.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it gets to that point in the week. We've only been here for 2 days. For all of us, this is a once-in-a-lifetime experience for the players. A lot of them it is as well, but it's also the last stop of a really long season that's required their energy and effort for 365 days. You can understand as you get to Thursday, Friday, why they would be a little tired of talking to the media and having to answer a lot of the same questions over and over again. Owen, any questions that came up to you that seemed particularly important today? Any responses from the players that stuck out either?
I mean, the Patriots, from the Patriots side, I felt they definitely seemed a little bit more tired, I think, of the media. Vrabel especially looked like he was kind of sick of getting the same questions over and over again. And you can tell by his reaction a couple times when the questions would be asked about injuries or just even like the same about your mentality going into it. The same question was asked a million times since then. And kind of got that from everyone around Patriots availability. A lot of those guys kind of didn't look like they wanted to talk. A couple of guys were sitting with their headphones on, looking not like they wanted to interact with media, except for Matt Collins, who kind of explained why, he was saying why a lot of guys just look disinterested because they've been doing this since Monday.
Yeah.
It's Thursday. They're playing in the biggest game of the year. I mean, I get they're tired of it. You're tired. There's no chance you're getting any new question that you haven't been asked. Everything's a new variation of the same question, and that's why he ended up bringing it. I mean, you two played against him as chessboard. You'll talk a little more about that soon, but kind of same energy from the Patriots. I think what I said yesterday, they're just ready to go, ready to play this game, ready to get over with all the media stuff, and ready for Sunday.
Yeah, no doubt. Let's talk about Matt Collins because he certainly was the star of the show this morning in media availability, not just for us, but really for everyone because he brought his own chessboard, and it's a newfangled, high-tech kind of chessboard that glows. It's beyond my scope of knowledge, and I think that was
I've never seen.
I think that was so cool.
It became very evident that was right over my head because he beat me in 3 minutes in chess. And Brendan, I think you did a little bit better against him. In fact, what did he tell you?
He did tell me I was the best game of the day.
Yeah. He must say he just
impressive.
forgot. He just forgot. I don't know if he forgot about my game, but
How fast was your game, Joe?
it was 3 minutes.
How long was your game?
Mine took 4.5 almost, and it was 2-minute bullet.
Almost went to the max in Brendan's game. So tough look there, Joe. Smoked you immediately.
Chess isn't my game, but it was cool. Matt Collins kind of made some allusions to the connections between chess and life and chess and football. And moreover, I think his willingness to bring a game to media day and to really engage in a human way with reporters and take out the transactional nature of this kind of situation where you're presented as available to the media for an hour and anyone can come up and talk to you and stick a camera in your face. The fact that, to me, Brendan, it felt like it took that aspect out of it. So even if I was recording the game, which I did, having the conversation with him, I don't think I've ever been less nervous talking to a professional athlete because I felt like I was just talking to someone and actually getting to know them. And I think that's a really special quality of Max and also just a cool and refreshing experience this week.
It was, and when I went and played, Chris was over there with me, and we asked him, we said, like, why? And he said, well, we're here all week. I get bored in the interviews. You guys get bored in the interviews. It adds another element. It makes it more entertaining. And honestly, it did. It was a very difficult interview. I'll say probably the most difficult one I've done because my mind's in two places, both on the chessboard and asking him questions. And it was not easy for me that he was a pretty good chess player. But it was a very relaxed conversation. It did feel very I don't think I asked him a single football question while I sat down. It was all about him, his chess, who he plays against in the locker room, other hobbies he has. It never once touched the subject of football. It did feel very conversational.
Yeah, one of the cool things about is there's so much media availability that if you get some reporters that are willing to go out of their typical regimen of asking guys, on-the-nose questions about injuries or about practice or about film, you can actually get to know guys. And so you see folks going around doing these funny interviews, and that's great. But, and it feels like one of the cool parts of the Super Bowl experience, don't mind the game, but the entire 2-week experience is that more than in any other sporting event maybe in the world, you actually get to know who these players are off the field, and oddly enough, it's juxtaposed with maybe the most stressful week of their life.
Yeah, you really understand their personalities, too. You've seen a lot of these guys kind of come out of the shell. And you wouldn't expect that in Super Bowl week. You'd think they'd be all stressed, like worrying about the game constantly. But every guy seemed loose, more willing to talk about literally anything. I think, a little more. They'll get into that soon. The Seahawks seem a little more loose, energetic in their press conferences. Yep. But also, I'm going back to the Patriots setup. It just feels so...
It's amateur.
It's very amateur. Even the conference stand where Vrabel stands is so different than where McDonald's stands.
Yeah.
That's really stood out to me more today, where I was like, man, like everything felt so much weirder in the Patriots one, a lot more crammed.
Yep.
Seahawks was a lot more open, but still the Patriots players felt loose. All these guys were opening to questions, especially guys that might not give off the friendliest vibe when you just see them online. Guys like Diggs, a couple other players, even Drake May. Who doesn't seem like he wants to talk a lot because he's just like a guy from the South that's just like Drake May. Also, he sounds
I don't know.
No, his voice.
No.
I didn't really hear it.
No.
They
both have a Southern twang.
No, when he started talking, I was like, that's Peyton Manning.
No, it's not. No.
I don't know. I heard it. Chris Carino agreed with me. He agreed. He hears a little bit of Peyton Manning in there.
That's like
a little bit.
He's given like a smidgen symbol. I mean, he's not. He just feels bad.
I don't know if it's just a feel bad. Oh, he's shaking his head. So it is. It is a feel bad, but I think everyone has thumbs up in the camera. I think we've learned a lot about this Patriots team. A lot of these guys that obviously not a ton of them are superstar players in this league. I mean, besides, I think you could argue Gonzalez, Diggs, Drake May. Not a lot of these guys are known outside the casual football community. And you could even argue Gonzalez, one of the best corners in the league. A lot of people might not realize that he's one of the best corners in the league. And now I think this week has brought out a lot of personalities in a lot of these guys and understanding what they're about. Also, besides football, talking about their families, talking about their motivations besides football, and kind of just getting to know them as people instead of just always being looked at as athletes.
Yeah, it's a really interesting dynamic because these are two teams that, as you said, Owen, really didn't have any big-name players entering the year. I mean, think about it. JSN was a decently big-name player, but certainly no one expected him to have the year that he's having. We're going to talk about NFL honors later tonight. He's expected to bring home a big one. Drake May, another guy who, was a popular quarterback, but certainly not considered one of the best. Neither of these teams had any superstars entering the year. Is there someone I'm forgetting? A guy who's thought of as a top 50 player in the league entering the year? I don't think so, which is so different.
I think people were very high on Jason first year without DK. Otherwise,
I think you could argue Darnold after last
year. I think Gonzalez.
Let's think back. Think about the last time there was a Super Bowl matchup and the best player on either team was less of a big name than the biggest names on these teams were at the start of the year. So think about how big May and Gonzalez were at the start of the year. Think about how big JSN was at the start of the year. And then think about other Super Bowl teams. Other Super Bowl team you name, Mahomes, Brady, even Burrow.
Saquon last year.
Cooper DeJean.
Who was sitting next to us before.
You could argue that there were a solid 15 guys playing in last year's Super Bowls that had more clout entering that year for their team than the Patriots and Seahawks players did entering this year. But creates a really, really cool matchup, especially for real football fans, that two teams that were not expected to be here that are greater. The whole is greater than the sum of their parts for each of these teams. They're not, led by one superstar, but really it's a team effort on both sides. And beyond that, getting back to the availability part of things, part of what makes availability during Super
to me, which I think that's just kind of, it shows just how these players are as people. It's the Patriots have done it too. I'll go up, hey, whatever your name is, how are you? They're like, good, how are you? So they genuinely are enjoying this a lot more than anything during the regular season. And it does seem like they are happy to be here.
Oh, and you've covered a lot of events for a lot of different teams in your time here. Obviously, the Super Bowl is a different animal, but comparing your coverage in the past to this week, what feels different when you consider the way the players are portraying themselves to the media?
Well, I've never done football before, but even when you look at basketball and especially baseball, I think baseball is the most closed off, especially doing Yankees. They're a very closed off organization. Sure. But they're so much more loose and ready. I mean, I believe it was Drake May who said it today. It feels like, at least before their family showed up today, it feels like they're back in college again, just living with all their buddies in a house with, basically, no adult supervision, but, obviously they have supervision on. But, you're just living with all your boys again, just ready to, having fun. And I think the stress of the Super Bowl really doesn't kick it because you're doing all this media. It doesn't feel like, I feel like, for them till Thursday night probably hits that, all right, 2 days till the game, especially because they're talking about they didn't practice with pads till yesterday. And I feel like that's today's been the day where they're all starting to be locking in. But since they've been here, probably Sunday night, opening day was Monday, they've been available, and I think they've just become more loose. They're just around each other all the time, and I think that changes it. Usually after a game, these guys are coming after a hard-fought game. They might have lost. Even if they won, they're tired. A lot of these guys have been doing is just kind of hanging out with their friends, and then I think that kind of changes it. They're more open to talk to people that usually they're probably angry at because it's all right, I just played a game. I played terrible. I don't want to go talk to these guys.
Right.
And here it's just no game's been played.
Yeah.
A million
That's
questions going to ask, and they're not going to be the same old why'd you throw that ball or why'd you fumble there? It's just just about the week in general. I think that changes it.
Less regimented, more chaotic, but I think that's in the best possible way, and allows you to get to know the players on so many different levels. Better as football players, they don't have to answer these strict questions, these rigid, why'd you throw that pass? What did you see on this play? There's so much more, there's this expanse of questions you could ask anyone. Brendan, you're in your coverage past 2 days, what have you learned about the team or a specific player that stuck out to you that you probably wouldn't have been able to learn any other press conference regular season?
I'm going to take the obvious answer and take Matt Collins.
Sure.
I I never would have pictured anyone bringing any sort of game like that to
so creative.
A media event. It was very
He didn't bring
creative.
shoes, but he brought chess.
which is not on the usual checklist of items to bring. But I thought that was just super cool. It was a glimpse into him and who he was. And when I talked to him while I was playing him in chess, it was, how long have you been playing? Who all do you play with? And he mentioned he plays with Josh Dobbs.
Not shocking at all.
No.
The astronaut.
Astronaut.
The astronaut. He plays with Josh Dobbs. He mentioned a couple other guys. He used to play actually with Josh Allen when he was in Buffalo. But that was the kind of conversation we had. It was about him, which I thought was super cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Owen, how about you?
I didn't get a chance to talk to anyone today. I was really struggling to cook up something in the old noggin. But
it's okay.
I think listening around what was going on, Carino's shaking his head behind the camera.
I can't imagine why.
I don't know why either. I didn't get one, all right?
Owen, if you were listening or watching last night, you know that Owen ran out of battery.
Batteries died late last night. And then your mic, no one can hear you. That mic doesn't work.
I was only able to charge up to 25%.
And I only got up to 20%. This morning we were low. The hardwood floor is not recharging.
We'd exhaust the battery early on in the show. We just let him go.
The battery burnt out bad.
It's like
I had to recharge this
madness.
morning.
Your center gets into foul trouble, but you got to just let him run.
Yeah, you just got to let me
see how far you can get.
And then we got hot during the Seahawks media, but Patriots was a little slow. Mine really wasn't all there fully. Is it ever? Probably not. But I honestly don't even remember.
You own an iPhone long enough, its maximum battery capacity, contrary to when it was purchased, is usually around 80%.
Yeah, I'm going to be completely honest. I don't even remember where I was going with this.
Yeah,
if we're
okay.
really
I
circling back to what the question was.
I want to let you work this out yourself.
I'm going to keep working this out. Shout out Omar Khan over there again.
Yeah.
Billionaire. Would love to be him. That's a lot of money. Tony Khan, not Omar Khan. Son of Omar Khan. Anyway, billionaire. Would love to be him.
Yeah.
But Patriots media availability was sick today. A lot of fun seeing all the players. Yeah, that's kind of all I got here. Yeah, battery's going low again. I need to recharge.
Can I ask you, Owen? You know, it's the big 2-6. Portable chargers exist.
Yeah.
Do you have a portable charger?
For mentality or my phone?
A mental portable charger. I'm
not
asking you if you have a literal portable charger.
I didn't know if you were going literal there. Well, usually I'll drink like an absurd amount of Red Bulls during the day. I haven't gotten around to it, especially when I'm not sleeping. I'll drink around 4 or 5 a day.
Yeah.
And a couple like.
Okay.
That can't be good for you.
Yeah. I don't know. Usually I save those for like Mondays when I have one class, but I should have gotten around to getting more Red Bull. But yeah, I'm a little. That's the portable charger.
Yeah.
Sometimes like these little like tablet things that give you a little adrenaline, a lot of caffeine in them. Those really work. But no, I didn't bring any of those with me. So I should have planned for that.
Yeah.
I didn't think I'd be this tired. I didn't know we'd be waking up at 6 a.m. every day.
This isn't Detroit, man. It's the Super Bowl.
This is the Super Bowl. I wasn't ready for this. I wasn't ready for the Super Bowl. That's why I'm a Giants fan. I'm not expecting to be here. I'm not expecting to ever be here.
The lights are too bright.
The lights were way too bright in the morning. Also, not a morning person. So all these combinations together. Not liking the Patriots. It's just all these things came together.
Let's check in on that because something tells me that after the events that transpired in hour 3 of the show last night, you're doing a little leaning.
I think right now, going into today, I'm 50-50. I don't know if I'm going leaning Seahawks.
There's work to do.
There's still one more day to be left for convincing.
Okay.
On both sides.
And who's got the momentum?
Right now, the Patriots have some. Seahawks players have the momentum, but the Seahawks fans are pushing it back towards Patriots. The Seahawks players today gave the momentum to them. I really do want them to win. They're really fun and enjoyable and like way more excited. The Patriots players really weren't as fun besides Mac Hollins. That's why I'm leaning towards Seahawks. But then the Seahawks fans, when they get on the mic in about 5 minutes, it's gonna be a tilt, heavy to the left. Fan. The singular Seahawk fan made me very angry this morning when we were at breakfast because I had a tummy ache and he was rage baiting me about New Jersey. So it makes me lean more towards the Patriots.
Okay, we've got a living, breathing swing state here on
I am
One-on-One.
Pennsylvania.
We're talking Patriots, Seahawks. Let's flip over to Seattle right after this. We're going to take a short break. You're going to hear about day 2 of the Seattle Seahawks media availability. Right after this, you're listening to One-on-One.
Welcome back here to Radio Row at Super Bowl 60 in San Francisco. I'm joined by Griff Stevenson, Tucker Austin. I see Brian Baldinger in the distance in just the most beautiful pink blazer. He was with us yesterday.
He's got a great fit today, Chris.
A great fit, and had a great appearance with us yesterday as well. I actually got to ask Coach Mike McDonald about something he talked about with us yesterday. We just talked, or you guys just heard from Joe Henry, Brendan Shorey, and Owen Kelty. They talked Patriot availability. That's where we were early this morning. The cause for Owen Kelty's short-circuiting. We got there around 8 o'clock. That's around a 1 to 2 hour endeavor. We ended up then making our way to San Jose, going to the other side of the bay. And at the San Jose Convention Hall, that's where the Seahawks were. And similarly to yesterday, almost in the exact same fashion, we had Mike McDonald on the main press conference stand along with Sam Darnold. And then 15 minutes after that, preceding that, we had the rest of the team. Griff got a question into Mike McDonald yesterday, asked him about if there's any correlators to the 2014 devastating loss now kind of trending into the same Super Bowl matchup. I asked today about what Brian Baldinger talked with us about yesterday, and that was the tackling of the Seahawks team. In general, Griff, obviously me and you during the season are not around the Seahawks team as much as possible. You live a little more local, but to be in the press conferences with Mike McDonald, it was really cool.
Yeah, no, it's a great experience. We sat a little closer this time to the coach and Sam Darnold. It was great to see them a little bit more up close and personal than before. I think overall just a really great experience. The press conference, too, I will say sometimes they can feel a little long, like the Patriots ones, not because of anything the Patriots are doing, just because I think time just flies so much more when you're watching the Seahawks one. Tried to get a question to Sam Darnold. Kind of thought I got the point, but either way, it was just so cool to hear him answer questions, talk through his mindset. And honestly, Mike McDonald, we talked as much as Joe and them talked about maybe players being tired, coaches having to answer a lot of questions on their third day of media availability. Mike McDonald honestly seemed a little bit more amped today than he did yesterday, and I honestly would like to accredit that to they're starting and getting into practice with pads and full contact. Like yesterday's practice was half run through, half pads. So I just think has to do with his love of the game and excitement to get going.
Yeah, a good sign for Seahawk fans with the Nick Immanwori news last night that Coach Mike McDonald was in such high spirits joining the press conference. If there's one thing I've picked up on or noticed in the last couple days, it's the likability of the head coach and quarterback of both these teams. Drake May and Mike Vrabel on the Patriots side, and Mike McDonald and Sam Darnold on the other. Tucker, you obviously being a neutral in this situation, how have you kind of gauged the likability of the head coach and quarterback, the two guys who are sort of leading these squads?
Well, God, likability, Chris. These guys are maybe two of the most likable individuals that I think I've ever been in the same room with.
Sam, Drake.
Oh, between all four of them, yeah, sure. I mean, I'd like speaking just about the Seahawks, the two of them, but like between the four of them, yeah, I'd say all of them. Although, I don't know, I think the jury might be out on Mike Vrabel a little bit because he seems like a bit of a killer in disguise.
Okay,
like, a la Belichick, because we talked about that yesterday.
Yeah, I was just about to say.
Yeah. So Mike McDonald, very, very likable guy. And I like what you said, Griffin, because he seemed much more comfortable today than yesterday.
Sure.
Yesterday was a little more nervy. He actually got tripped up during yesterday's press conference by somebody doing a stand-up in the back of the room.
Yeah.
Which was really interesting, and he kind of lost his train of thought. Today, though, he was totally locked in. The first thing he said when he walked in the room was, "Everybody shut up, I'm here." But in a joking manner, and everybody in the room laughed. It was a really funny way to break the ice and make everything like a lot more chill in the room. He also broke the news about Immanwori pretty much immediately and was like, "Please don't tell me the first question's going to be about Immanwori," and then answered it.
He came in, he's like, "The first question isn't about Nick,
yeah,
is it?"
Exactly, but he answered it for us, which is like, naturally, of course you would do that. Like most coaches, when they come into a presser after a game, they have like a statement that they make because they know what they have to say. He knew he had to say something today about Immanwori. But overall, I thought it was a really, really
Nick's going to be fine.
Yeah, no, he will be fine. At least that's what McDonald told us today.
Well, Kobe White said to a reporter even before then that he got asked about, like someone asked him about Nick, and Kobe White basically literally said, yeah, he's good.
Yeah, and that was the biggest thing I think we were looking to find out today at Seahawks availability was whether or not there was a serious issue with him.
And Seahawks Twitter was a little concerned last night, coming back from dinner, leaving the car, walking into the hotel, a slight limp. Seahawks fans were just concerned there, but
No boot, though, yeah.
Really no point for concern when kind of going in today, whether it's Nick and the confidence he showed, whether it's his teammates and the confidence they showed, or obviously the head of the snake, which is Coach Mike McDonald. And from a hype perspective, I understand. Arguably the best player on a defense that is maybe the best unit going into a Super Bowl, and Tuck, he's our age. He's not even 22 yet. He mentioned that. I asked him a question during the answer and talking about his mom, which was really wholesome. He mentions he's turning 22 soon.
Dude,
that's unbelievable.
I was listening to some of the Seahawks players. I forget what media outlet it was asking them kind of the question we were talking about a little bit to end the show last week, yesterday, used to one-on-one being a weekly thing. I was like, what's the first Super Bowl you remembered? And some of these guys are so young that their first Super Bowl that they remember is after the first Super Bowl that I remember watching. Like, one of them said Niners-Ravens.
Yeah, and that kind of reminds me of the situation that Joe ran into with Kayshon Boutte, where he doesn't really watch NFL football, or didn't watch it growing up, so he didn't have like a favorite Super Bowl catch because he just hadn't watched many Super Bowls growing up. So yeah, it is kind of a weird experience being like the same age as most of the rookies who are here. But I want to talk about the rookies on the Seahawks for a little bit because Mike McDonald did bring up, he was asked about the relationship between the veterans and the rookies on this team. And I got a chance to ask DeMarcus Lawrence about his experience dealing with the rookies, himself being a 33-year-old veteran on this team.
Right.
And he said that it's been a really awesome experience between the older guys on the squad and the younger guys.
Two podium guys for the Seahawks today, both rookies. Nick Emanwari, Gray Zabel, their first-round pick, second-round pick, immediately Tucker now in the spotlight for their team. Yeah,
and the greatest part for the Seahawks was that the veterans took it upon themselves to, which is not something that veterans necessarily have to do. You know, like they're not sometimes they might feel like entitled or that they don't really have to give deference to the rookie class. Actually, DeMarcus Lawrence even said, he mentioned, like, we didn't have to haze this rookie class effectively because they knew how to act when they appeared in the locker room. The rookies came in so respectful to the veteran guys and looking to them for advice and for guidance, and it allowed the whole team to mesh just that much quicker. And finding that out today, yesterday I was leaning Seahawks. Today I'd say it's like 75-25 I'm leaning Seattle because of just
even with Griff.
Yes, because
so is Vegas. Because I just saw a tweet before when they were talking that
the way that Mike McDonald talked about like his team coming together and the way that they have been not like attacking the whole season and attacking this game, it just seems like a winning strategy to me. And especially I really like the answer he gave to your question, Chris, because it was so technical about the tackling. He brought up that acronym EAT, effort, angle, tackling, that focus, and it just kind of embodies everything that they want to do and takes over every part of their practices, their walkthroughs, everything that they do. They go back to EAT and they make sure that they always hammer out their tackling, and that's a winning formula when you're a defense.
Yeah, technical guy like that. I felt as if I had to ask a technical question in order to get a big a reaction out of him. Griff, you were showing us just what the nation is betting on this game. A lot of the attention and the betting and the money is on Seattle. This team is a major favorite. I'm not sure we've seen a team in general go into a Super Bowl this big a favorite in almost a decade. And Griff, you could speak to this as well. The happy, fun nature of the Seahawks. Maybe it's environment-based, as Owen said. Both teams' environments are very different, but the general vibe of the Seahawks team extremely high.
Yeah, definitely. Tucker, I think it's funny that you said your belief now is more like 70% because that was the official number, that 70% of the public is betting on Seattle, which is the highest of any favorite in Super Bowl history, like the highest percentage of public money, because usually Super Bowls are a little more split. I honestly think that's a bigger testament to how much the public maybe doesn't want the Patriots to win.
I was going to say, could it possibly be like just pure Patriots hating? But for me, that would be if it was like the Fox Sports America Chooses, where you just kind of vote who you think is going to win.
Fair. People are putting money behind this.
When you're putting money behind it, there's more like logical thought that goes into it. Ideally, like of course, like there are people who gamble and just kind of throw caution to the wind. I'm saying do not do that right now. That wouldn't be my recommendation. You should put time and effort and thought into where you're going to put your money, especially if you're putting it on the line to try and win more. And so for that reason, I think it's a more legitimate split of 70-30 for people who honestly think that the Seahawks are going to win this game. I think it's even more interesting that you had the injury to Nick yesterday in practice, and now, yes, he's fine, but it's still like kind of up in the air. You know, I was like, you saw him limping into the hotel yesterday. With that injury, things still trended in favor of the Seahawks. I almost wonder if nothing had gone on yesterday, if it was all business as usual from the Seahawks, would it be even as high as 80 or higher?
Right, and I think even adding on to what you said about why people are betting, I think along with that, and Tuck, you could correct me if I'm wrong, can you remember in recent memory a more clear favorite in a Super Bowl? I think just through the nature of how the conference playoffs and just how the conferences operate, I think it usually feels like a level playing field or feels like a pretty even matchup going into the Super Bowl every year. This one, for the first time in a long time, feels like there's a clear, better team, which I don't think is something the betting world and the nation is really used to at all.
I'm not even really again, it's hard not to seem biased, but I really do think there is a clear vibe difference in the two availabilities that we've been to.
The last time, guys, I just pulled it up. The last time there was a 4.5-point favorite in the Super Bowl was the Rams against the Bengals in L.A. in 2022, Super Bowl 56.
Oh, my God. Look,
which was incredible because that game was really, really close. The Bengals almost pulled that one out.
And Tuck,
just because the largest favorite since then.
Just because we're looking at it, 2014, the only pick-em I can see on the entire chart, which is the last Seahawks-Patriot matchup. Give me the last double-digit spread, and then give me the story of how that one went. Go look down the list.
Oh, boy. The last double-digit spread heading into a Super Bowl, none other than Super Bowl 42, 2008, 12-point favorites, the undefeated New England Patriots who fell to the New York Giants.
12 points,
I know Kelty's happy about that.
Because, Tuck, think about how lopsided this week and just this game has felt, and then think about that. That's double the amount of lopside. The amount of lopside.
More than double the favorite.
More than double the favorite.
It's really incredible. But, I mean, that just speaks to the Giants and what they were able to do in that game.
I was going to say it
incredible.
Speaks to more of the occasion, which would have worked well for the show, but I will let you, with how much you've had to suffer with Griffin, I'll let you be a homer for a second. And Griff, turning the attention toward you, kind of talking more about our Seahawks availability, me and you have both been lucky enough to talk to almost every single guy, not only on the marquees, but just around that Seahawks availability. Who's someone that stood out to you from a kindness point of view, someone that you just thought was a really nice guy? And similar to a question Joe asked in the last segment, what was one answer in the last 2 days that stuck out to you?
I think for me, Chris, you and I will agree on this person. Going into this, I think going into availability, you told me yesterday how nice Rashid Shaheed was and that I needed to talk to him. And after talking to him, I can agree. I think even if he decides not to re-sign with Seattle or Seattle decides not to re-sign him, Rashid Shaheed will have a fan for life in me.
Sure.
I took a different approach knowing that I kind of got the videos I wanted yesterday. I talked to JSN. And knowing that we were going to talk about availability on the show, Joe and I talked a little bit how sometimes journalism can seem a little bit transactional, especially sitting down at the tables when you have a camera in their face, And so I kind of opted for a no-camera approach, and I really just sat down, shook guys' hands, and talked to them for a little bit. And Shaheed is one of those guys I talked to him about kind of what it meant to come into Seattle, how much he enjoyed the organization, and then I really wanted to ask, as a Seahawks fan who has been on the side of that loud crowd at Lumen Stadium, has seen a special teams touchdown at Lumen Stadium, knowing how big the crowd pop can be, what was that like on the other side of it? And he said that really that San Francisco 49ers, or the kickoff return, I should say, against the 49ers to open the game in the NFC divisional round is the only time really, well, first he said that he was thinking just don't get caught. And then after that, when he kind of knew he was home free, he was really talking about how it was the first time in his playing career where he said he could actually hear the crowd as he was going. So I think these NFL guys, obviously elite athletes, they have that mindset, the adrenaline's going. They can kind of tune out the crowd.
And you don't think about it. It's like a car almost. Like the wind is so loud as they're running, especially a guy like Shaheed who's so fast that you can't really hear the crowd. That's how loud that crowd was that night. They defied the sort of wind that he was running past.
Well, you know what they used to call him in New Orleans, Chris?
Enlighten me.
Rashid the Speed Shaheed.
I don't mind that.
Well,
I don't mind that. I called him Dash from Incredibles on Twitter yesterday, which I like.
He was a track athlete. in high school, and then he had to. I think his parents really wanted him to stay a track athlete because I'm pretty sure his parents were track athletes. And
so track kids, if you're listening, pick up a football.
You'll
start running 80 to 90 yards.
You'll become Rashid Shaheed.
You know what? I think the good analogy for that. I liked your car analogy, especially for kickoff returns and punt returns. You ever once you drive the same route so much, you ever drive somewhere and then you get there and you realize wow, I don't remember driving here.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Yeah.
No, it's almost like you're just wow, I just kind of got here. You know what I'm saying?
I can see that.
I can imagine that would be almost because you have
Rashid-
the same route every time. It's just going through people to get
I
to the
slightly
end zone.
relate,
You
and I'm
think that's
slightly
what-
alarmed. I don't know which really one to
You
be.
think that's what he feels like when he gets into the end zone?
Or you're on a
kick
road
returns?
trip and you're on
It's
the
like,
highway.
How did I get here?
Do you think it's that familiar of a route every time to the end zone that it almost, his brain, as Griffin is alluding to, almost turns off?
Maybe not before, but I think with the new kickoff rules, I think that could be the case because they're so close to each other and the same guys kind of get locked up blocking each other over and over again. It probably is a pretty similar
You
route.
also only get 2 backdrops throughout the game. You have first half, second half. You're running one direction or the other end, especially, and it was a home game. He's seen that. He's done that all.
To do it on the first play is absolutely ridiculous.
It really changed the game, the new kick return. I know, contrary to what the leader of the free world says, I think the new kickoff return is absolutely fantastic. It adds so much more excitement to the game. It creates so many more big moments. I swear, Tuck, and I'll fully take off my unbiased hat here. That Rashid Shaheed return against San Francisco, I don't know if I've ever screamed louder at a football game in my life. All the anticipation of that game, all the excitement, and for it to pay off in, I would say, 10 seconds, especially with the smoke still in the air from pregame intros. The whole thing just felt magical.
The best part to me was that the Niners only scored 6 points in this game. So after the extra point from that kickoff, the game was effectively over.
They didn't get to the red zone.
Hear me out.
It was already 7-0, and that was enough to beat them in the end.
I think that kick scored infinitely more than 6 points, in the sense that
in the minds and hearts of Seahawks fans.
No. I mean literally in the game, in the sense of that.
Please stop. This is getting
No, you're gonna.
I don't even.
You guys cut me off way too early on this, in the sense that with the new NFL rules, you can either try to bounce it in the end zone and then they grab it and then you tackle them. You can try to bounce it first, have it roll back, start at the 25, or you don't even risk the returner getting his hands on the ball and team start at the 35. That starting at the 35 is a huge difference, and the Rams only kicked to Rashid Shaheed once in off kickoff in the Seahawks in the NFC Championship. They didn't kick off to him once in the first half, and I would dare to say that him returning that kick made it so teams stopped kicking to him. And I don't think the Patriots will kick to him. And starting at the 35 versus the 25, or if they kick it to him and he gets tackled shorter than that, I think is creating a lot of points.
I actually don't hate that at all.
But I think it's sort of a mute point, because if you're going to kick to him, then it's also creating points. So it's like he's just a really good player.
Well, not necessarily.
Yeah.
He won't necessarily.
I think that's
return
just
it
you
for a
trying to
touchdown.
find. Yeah.
If he's a really good player.
But if he's
Like,
a good
Chris,
returner,
I think that's
you're just saying.
No,
You're
I
saying
think
assuming he'll get by the
Chris, I
front.
think
Hold
that's
on,
you trying to
hold
find.
on.
I think that's you trying to find a point in my just because
Well, no,
I made
had
that argument.
I had multiple.
No,
I had
no,
multiple
no.
points
Come
to make
on.
there. First of all, that one I just said, where I don't think either way he's either a factor because they're kicking to him, or he's a factor because they're not kicking to him. Another thing, and another element of as well, I don't think it's necessarily a gimme that teams are now not going to kick to him. I think in the past rules with Devin Hester, in the old fashion in which you would usually kick off, way easier to have a kickoff or limit a guy running it back. I think now you're either risking a team starting at the 40 or the 35, and you wouldn't want to run that risk just to keep the ball out of a guy like Rashid Shaheed's hands.
Okay, I can agree to that.
It's just
we
too
can
precise
agree,
of a thing.
We can agree to
I'm not
disagree.
nitpicking, I promise.
We
It's
can
just-
agree to disagree. We can talk for like 2 more minutes, but then
For
we're
two
going to have.
Seahawks fans,
it's
Oh,
actually-
you're transitioning this?
No, we're gonna have, well, I was just letting you know we have an interview. We have an interview.
I see,
we do.
I see them coming along. We
Yeah.
have, as Radio Row is in its nature, Griff Stevenson, along with Tucker Austin, Brendan Shorey, I think are the 3 biggest culprits, have been walking around Radio Row. And as you walk around Radio Row, you see not only people, former players, not only NFL Network, not only Yahoo Sports, but you also see Tuck and Griff, just a few guys you might see on your timeline as well. Some guys you really get into. Griff, you saw a few guys that you're a fan of yesterday.
Yeah, Stay Hot Podcast. Those who know them, big on TikTok. They all have their own individual accounts as well, and we'll talk about it in a sec. But creating some waves too as well, particularly in the nickname game, perhaps the aura game, if you will, with a special nickname for JSN that's caused some, let's just say, pushback on Twitter. But No, I'm excited to talk to them. I would say some real ball knowers.
Are you teasing the Emerald City route runner right now?
Well, I wasn't going to get into it.
I mean, you can't dance around such a gigantic, what you called the biggest story in sports media earlier.
I stand on that, but I was
And the more I look at my phone, the more I agree with you, I think, as well.
It's the can't escape it. But, yeah, I think send us to break. We'll be right back. We'll figure out how we're going to do it because, as you can see here, there's 3 mics. There's 3 guys. So we'll figure it out, but we'll be right back, and you will have the host of the Stay Hot podcast. Stay tuned on One-on-One. Welcome back to One-on-One, New York's longest-running sports call-in show. I am joined by 2 of the 3 hosts of the Stay Hot podcast, Theo Ash and Bladen Kirk. You may know them from their podcast or their respective TikTok pages. I believe this is your guys' second Super Bowl, right? Is this your
Theo's fourth?
Theo's fourth.
Matt and I's third.
Okay, so where does this Radio Row stack up so far in comparison to the ones you guys have been to?
Nothing can beat my first Super Bowl because it was in Phoenix as I was an ASU student, or just after I was an ASU student. So I was able to, I had my classmates kind of around, and I was able to go from like the dorms to the convention center. Like that was so peak. If there was a Super Bowl at Fordham, it would be probably your number one, but I don't think that can happen.
Yeah, I mean, this is about as close as I can get as a Seahawks fan to what possibly. Because Lumen's never going to host a Super Bowl. It's just too cold, unless they dome it up. But I think here is about as close as I could possibly get. How about you, Bladen?
I really liked last year. New Orleans was great. I don't like Vegas as a city, so it's just impossible to traverse. It's impossible to get around.
Yeah.
And then I feel like this has been very congested just in terms of like Moscone is a good building, but it's not the biggest convention center in this area.
Yeah.
The San Jose one is bigger, but for some reason, they just don't want to have like all the media
I
stuff.
kind
in
of
San
like the
Jose.
smaller because you're always rubbing elbows with
Yeah.
people.
And, that's true.
I kind of.
That's true.
If this was in a bigger space, you'd have more room, but room isn't as good as
Yeah.
We
oh,
like
man.
community.
We were talking actually as a group about sort of the discrepancy in, I would say, quality of team availability locations. Has that been the case for the other Super Bowls you guys have been to? Because it seems like the Seahawks really got the better end of the stick.
Usually, I mean, it's tough going to the Patriots. I mean, it's cold. You're waiting outside. They're in a tent. I mean, even the Seahawks, they're at the convention center. Past years, they've been at fabulous resorts and like gorgeous hotels. Like both of them are in mid locations aesthetically for us.
Yeah.
Compared to last year, and then even still, one is way above the other. Like the Patriots are literally in the parking lot under a tent. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. There is a big elephant in the room. We talk about past Super Bowl appearances. Blade, and I think this might be the one where you've made the biggest splash into, I think, the culture surrounding the game. Those who don't know, he coined a new term, a new nickname for Jackson Smith and Jigba, the Emerald City Route Artist, hitting Twitter, TikTok by storm. Can you walk us through where that originated?
Yeah, so we have this Discord-esque service called Chat BCC, and it's a Stay Hot group chat. And a fan of the show, Sfeel, coined that term a while ago, months ago, I think even before the start of the season, and we were just debating, what should JSN's actual nickname be? Because JSN is a nickname, but not really. And so he coined the term Emerald City Route Artist first. And then once they found out that we were coming back to Super Bowl Media Week, they were like, you guys have to ask him about it. You have to. And so I was going to talk to JSN anyway about his matchup against Christian Gonzalez.
Yeah.
But other people were asking very similar game plan style questions, and he wasn't really giving you much.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, I can't ask this question. It's not gonna land at all. So I don't have anything better planned up for him. So I'm just gonna ask.
You put your aura on the line.
I put my aura on the line, and I put, some would say, my dignity and my reputation on the line. But at the end of the day, the only people who have been hating on it are the people who aren't here.
I would honestly say, especially among the people that aren't here, at least people that I know that have messaged me just because I'm a Seahawks fan about it, I would dare to say maybe actually it's almost going to it's got a cult following at this point, and I think it's going to stick. I think
if he wins Offensive Player of the Year tonight, I think that
I think
we
the
could
first
see a big
tweet I'm going to see is the Emerald City Route Artist.
I mean, we already have confirmation that it will be used on the Thursday Night Football broadcast.
Wow.
Yeah, we got in.
That's amazing. Honestly, it has grown on me, and I do think that
it's not that bad.
It really isn't that bad. I think
that bad. It's just my delivery.
It's too
was
long.
So awkward.
Yeah.
And it's it's a four-letter acronym for a guy that already had a really long name and a three-letter acronym.
Well, yeah, I think some people are even. I think Nico was making it a 5-letter acronym, calling him Tekra. You get the
Tekra.
Emerald City Route Artist, but I think it was the reaction from JSN. I want to know what was going through your head when he was like he didn't give a smile. It was kind of, and also what were because we're the younger people, like when you go to these availabilities, that's like usually the youngest people there. I'm kind of curious, even more so than JSN's reaction. What were like the guys around the old heads?
They
you
didn't
could
react.
say
No one said anything.
that's even almost worse.
No one ever reacts to anything that I ask, I feel like. But
Yeah.
I don't react to the questions that other people ask.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm not going to, it's like, good question, man.
Good. I like it.
Glazing the other reporters.
You know for sure, at least, that in the Seahawks locker room, because I know for a fact they've told some other reporters they've seen some of their stuff, and there's no way some of his teammates, I know Shahid has called JSN the Emerald City Route Artist in the past 2 days. There's no shot.
I talked to Shahid, and he didn't. Maybe he just doesn't know.
Why
me.
would he tell you that?
Yes.
I should have asked him. Well, that was my original plan. I was like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to go around to other Seahawks players and ask them about it, because I didn't think it would be that easy to talk to.
Yeah.
But it was.
I'm sure you've been asked about that enough. I kind of moving into what you guys do, which I think you guys are very much into analysis of the game. Theo, I think you particularly are known for like really in-depth analysis. I want to talk to you because I, as a Seahawks fan, have enjoyed a lot of your Seahawks takes throughout this season. Particularly, I want to talk to you about your Devon Witherspoon as we talk about sort of wide receiver and corner matchups. What have you seen from him? Kind of reiterate that, and for the both of you broadly after Theo answers, just what are you guys seeing about this matchup and what interests you about this matchup?
About Witherspoon specifically, I think I just saw a little bit of everything from him, and I think that he gets under-discussed as maybe the top player on the top defense in the league. And I think the play that really stood out to me was a zone play that he had in the slot where he just cycled from route to route to route. Like a quarterback was looking at the original guy, and he could have broken on it and tried to jump the pass, but he didn't fully do it. He stepped down, and he knew that would trigger the quarterback to move on to the next read, and then he immediately expanded, took that away, and then he immediately started sprinting after the check down. So it's like quarterbacks read coverage. They know a lot about coverage, and I think coverage guys sometimes don't know maybe as much about coverage as the quarterback does because they're seeing it all from like this first-person type of view, right? It's not as clear to them maybe the construct of the entire thing. And I feel like when I watch Witherspoon, it really stands out to me how he just embodies the coverage assignments and really is able to go from place to place to place, like just cycle through things, even a step ahead of the quarterback, because he does have some advantage being really a part of the coverage.
Yeah, definitely. I think also that's what you see in a large part with this whole Seahawks defense. They have guys that manage to cover so much space. I think that's going to be what caused a lot of problems, particularly with the fact that Drake May, especially in the run game, has taken advantage of a lot of open space. But it's going to be hard.
For sure.
And you have guys like Eamon Wari who can just fly around.
Yeah. I mean, it's something that I brought up in our prediction episode was Eamon Wari should just be spying Drake May the whole game. Like, the Seahawks have been so good at just rushing 4. They should just let Eamon Wari be the spy and let their cover guys do their thing on the back end as well. The thing that the matchup, obviously, that is the biggest is Christian Gonzalez against Jackson Smith and Jigba. I do expect, and I think the Patriots should be running a lot of man coverage in this game. And so I asked their cornerbacks coach, Justin Hamilton, kind of how they're scheming up for this, how they're game planning for this. With the scout team, what are they doing to kind of preview JSN in practice a little bit? And his answer, surprised me a little bit because I expect, obviously you can't mimic his route running per se, but I would expect them to try and, maybe capture his movement. But their primary focus was just the way he aligns in different situations, his down-to-down tendencies, more so than his actual movement skills. And I thought that was fascinating.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to just follow him with Gonzo,
right.
Just because, he's going to be in the backfield. He's going to be in a stack in the slot. He's going to be in all these kinds of places that prevent one top cornerback, that is, from bouncing all around. And they're going to have to build brackets off of whoever that is, and then they're going to be able to, when he's in the slot and there's a bracket over him, there's going to be a triangle, right? Like if it's trips and he's in the slot, they get 2 over 3, and then they leave the outside guy one-on-one, and so that opens up even like the fade opportunities. Right. He's a handful and opens up so much for Bobo, who has one-on-one opportunities with safeties now, and all kinds of other players because he tilts literally the whole coverage. They want a triangle over him at all times.
I got 2 more questions for you guys. I got a fun one for Bladen and like a slightly more serious one for Theo. But Bladen, the first one is I would say my roommate at school is a Browns fan. And he doesn't know ball. Like I feel confident saying that. Do you have any advice for like gentle parenting a Browns fan maybe that I live with?
Gentle parenting a Browns fan.
I should. Theo, you can weigh in. Bladen, give your take as a Browns fan and then.
Well, gentle parenting, you say he doesn't know ball. In what sense?
I've heard a lot. We've been going the whole year about just Browns Seahawks defense, particularly lining up.
Okay.
He did a lot of stuff about like their points, just kind of finding any stat he can to try and say that they're a little better. And then the one that I will give him credit for is we've had our Schweizinger, Eamon Wari debates, but he's definitely more so on the he really truly believes that if they just could spawn in a quarterback right away, they'd be like contenders.
Oh, yeah, no, he's wrong there. I mean, the defense is good, But the defense is good for like a lot of reasons, right? It's not just Garrett, it's not just Swessinger, it's not just Jim Schwartz. I think if they were to lose any one of those guys, they would be hurting on that side of the ball. Denzel Ward obviously included in that. As far as gentle parenting goes, the thing that I've most learned as a Browns fan is like I used to be the very like blind faith, this is going to work out, and to some extent I still am. Like I want to believe that we are going to turn things around eventually, as a fan, obviously. But you just have to know that the quarterback sucks, and you have to know that the owner sucks. Like, it does start sort of this top-down. It's like, okay, the owner sucks, and so he's making decisions and influencing decisions all the way down. So even if Andrew Berry finds a quarterback that he likes, if the owner, if the Haslams decide, well, we just like Shedeur, that's gonna be the quarterback.
Yeah, he was actually very trying to say he's pulling up Shedeur's like protection rate a lot, but he really wasn't getting through him that no matter what, he's just not really gonna be the guy.
Don't tell me he's pulling up Shedeur protection.
No, he is throwing up Shedeur protection stats, and then I brought up the point that if Shedeur literally spiked the ball on every play, he'd have a higher average QBR.
It's like, okay, you cannot both be like, well, Shedeur has no help, the receiver sucks and the offensive line sucks, and then also believe, well, if they had a quarterback,
yeah, exactly,
they would be good. It's like, yes, the offensive line sucks, and like Joel Bitonio might retire this offseason. They could have 4 vacancies on the offensive line, and the receivers are one of the worst in the league. Like, they have so much that they need to fill, and also they don't have a quarterback.
Yeah.
The defense is good, but, like, if they lose Schwartz, which is looking like a possibility, although I don't know.
Well, he stormed out and quit, right?
How many well, I don't know what openings there are for him right now, so he might end up coming back, but.
Never mind. Never mind. Please forgive me. Theo, my question for you, which is something I see on your pages, which is something I really think is important, is not only in your sports coverage, but you're not afraid also to talk about politics, I think, on your pages. And can you just kind of talk about, in general, why you think that's important to you, especially sometimes in this field with an audience that is definitely not always receptive to that?
I think it's important just to know that there is a lot of love in this world, and that there's a lot of people who aren't judgmental and who want everybody to succeed. And I think especially in sports and with sports fans, there's a lot that's the opposite, especially like in June and in Pride Month, and every team feels obligated to make a post, right? But the comments, they get flooded with hate, and they get flooded with, just trolls. And I think I don't think that's the average person's mentality. I think that behind a screen, it's easy to say those kinds of things. So I think to counteract all the negativity that's out there, and just all the just shit that happens, all the stuff that happens.
Yeah.
It's important to say, like, look, there's me, and at least there's voices in the sports community that say, like, this hateful stuff is not acceptable, and no matter what country you're from, what your race is, what your gender and sexuality is, like, film breakdown is for you, man. Like it's fun, and it's not just for one person. And look at a NFL team, and look at the flags on the back of the helmets, right? It's people from all over the place, and it's a diverse locker room of body types and shapes, and there's fat guys and there's skinny guys, and there's all kinds of different people, and it's a shame that people ignore that, or people pretend that that's not the case.
I will say there have been plenty of times, especially in this past year, where there's just so much stuff going on, and then I have opened Twitter and seen one of your tweets and been like, oh, that's kind of that's refreshing. You know what I mean? Bladen, if you want to speak to that at all.
Yeah, I think, Theo, you hit it right on the head. Like, it's important to create a space where people feel welcome, because oftentimes it can be very easy to open social media and feel like nobody wants you, or that there isn't a space for you in sports community. It can feel like a very heteronormative, just like straight white male. Like those are the only people that can speak on it, that can act on it, that can exist in this space. But like that's not the case. So
yeah,
it's important to be inclusive in all facets. And like we get into these arguments on Twitter. I'm always go at it from the perspective of like, why can't Theo? I think you said it well with just like there needs to be more love.
Yeah,
There are a lot of people who respond to any sort of like political claim, and it's purely from like a world of hate. And I'm like, how can you hate on like that's another
exactly?
They have family, they have friends, they have wants.
You're more alike than you are different.
Right, you're more alike than you are different. You cut Theo and I's hand off. We
yeah,
both be red on the
there we go.
inside, so.
Yeah, we're even seeing it now. It's like sports Twitter is suddenly finding out during Radio Row that a big metropolitan city with a Mediterranean climate is actually a nice city walking around in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's always good to see that. But thank you guys so much for sitting down and talking to me, talking to our audience. If you guys want to listen to them, you can catch them on the Stay Hot podcast. We'll be right back with more one-on-one after this break. Welcome back to One-on-One, New York's longest-running sports call-in show, live from Radio Row here in downtown San Francisco. I'm Griffin Stevenson, joined by Theo Ash, and now the third member of the Stay Hot podcast, Matthew Spawnhour. Matthew, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. It's always fun to be at Radio Row. Weather's nice out. Can't complain.
Do you have a favorite booth here? Because I have noticed a big booth discrepancy among certain brands.
I would say this one.
This
I would
one?
say this is clearly my
I feel like the
favorite number
bleacher.
one. I'm getting a lot of thumbs up for that one. I'm playing to the crowd.
Awesome. Did you go to media availability at all?
Yes, I did. I went to the second day, and I meant to go today, but as you know, you have to get up very early.
Yeah,
to catch
6
the
o'clock
bus,
wake up for us.
And I set my alarm for 5 p.m. instead of 5 a.m. Classic blunder.
Dude, my alarm clock in my hotel, AM is PM and PM is AM. I hate alarm clocks. I cannot get alarm clocks right to save my life. Like, I set it on my phone, my volume's down. Shouldn't the alarm go off anyway? Like, that's why I set the alarm. And then I get an actual alarm clock like thing, and I say I want to wake up at 5:40 A, and I'm like, that has to be right. That has to go off, and it doesn't go off. Luckily, I did have my phone set too. Otherwise, I would have missed the first availability.
Luckily, we kind of have a group alarm system going because these three are in the actual rooms of the Airbnb, and then Brendan, Owen, and Floor right next to me. So if one of us doesn't wake up,
Someone's getting up.
Someone will, and just kind of.
If you know, do you know Nerd Sesh, that podcast, Logan and Carson?
I haven't heard of that one.
That one is, so they're friends of ours, and my friend Logan will bring an alarm clock to like, in his bag, he like whips out like a fucking freak.
In today's day and age, that might cause some problems, though. No, these are things you got to think about.
These are things that you have to ask him, because I don't know.
Because we worried about the tie line even. We're like, that. Honestly, if you're just peeping at it through the X-ray machine, it's going to be a little like dicey for sure. But moving into the actual Super Bowl, but the reason I ask is if you also went to media availability, because I saw Theo at media availability. We've kind of been talking about this on our show. Have you guys noticed like a vibe difference among the two teams so far?
That's a good question. Honestly, from when I was there, I thought my answer was no. And frankly, I think the vibe depends guy to guy more than anything. I feel like a lot of dudes, like some dudes are really like trying to be talkative. They're trying to be nice. They're trying to give you a good answer and really think about it. Other dudes, I think, are a little worried that they're going to like give something away, so they keep it really like vague, which is totally fair too. I'm not hating on them. So I think it more depends person to person. I don't know how you feel, Theo.
Let's see. I feel like the Seahawks are a little bit more of a jovial bunch, but they're also out there later in the day.
Yes.
And they're in a better indoor facility.
Yeah.
So that might be why they're more jovial. I think when I heard Mike McDonald give his press conference, I think he talked a lot about their kind of mindset going into this game and went into detail a little bit more about that, whereas I think Vrabel's a little bit more curt and just a little bit more kind of just like, well, like, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I feel like McDonald is a little bit more sensei. I don't know. He's like he's very well spoken. He kind of grabs face,
seared into his brain. Do you have okay? Who's your like more lower end vibes guy?
I think someone. Let's see.
I thought Withard trying not to let on too much, trying not to give up anything about the game plan or stuff like that.
Yeah. How about the highest one for you? Who's your favorite?
Zabel was really good. I mean, Will Campbell is also like really high energy. I mean, he had not even the question I asked him, but he had a bunch of funny. He was talking about like how he was scared of cats, and he had that. If you look up like Will Campbell cat on Twitter, you'll see the story about it or whatever.
That's interesting because for me, actually, and I think this also maybe because I asked more of we talk about guys too afraid to give away things. I think my question was about a lot of the stunts that the Seahawks run, and to me, Will Campbell is very much like, I believe I said like, I asked about how Vrabel said the Seahawks have their defensive front, all the guys have their own unique abilities, and what's it like going against four guys who can all make plays, but four guys who can all make plays in their own unique ways, and his answer was verbatim, watch film and listen to what coach tells me to do.
Right.
And I was like, I was like, LSU mind for sure. I like watch film and listen to coaches taught in like Southern middle schools is what you should do. But for me, I think overall nice guy of the weekend is Rashid Shaheed. I got the opportunity to really, and especially on the tables, I kind of was putting my phone down, not really trying to, because I feel like it can be transactional a little bit when you have your phone like right there. I was just talking to him, and he told me about how his kick return in the divisional. Most like every other time in his career, he said he zones out the crowd, and that's the one time in his career that he heard the crowd.
That's so fire.
And I thought that was very, very, very interesting. But yeah, to me, I can agree. I think the Seahawks are a little bit more just jovial, but I think maybe also I was just kind of seeing them interact with each other a lot, and they were like shadow boxing today at media availability, so they seem on the up. But now going into the game, I think the one thing, at least on my end, that is the big story of the game is the trenches.
Absolutely.
I think both ends, teams have like had very much success, but also some questions on either side of the ball. So I'm curious of maybe think that battle will shake up.
Yeah, I think we just talked to Sam Schwartenstein, the Amazon Prime, Prime Vision host, right? And he's more than the host. He puts the whole thing together. And I'm just going to steal his answer because I thought it was a good one, that Darnold has the biggest discrepancies between play action and non-play action available. And if you're going to be booting and if you're going to be running a bunch of play action to be successful, it comes down to the edge rushers. And his tip was to stand them up, never be in a three-point stance, just stand them up and let them get some width. And it's something that I've definitely noticed about the Patriots over the course of this playoff run is how good they've been defending play action. I mean, their game against the Texans was literally the best play action DEPA per play they did it. So you can take a point off the board for the Houston Texans basically every time they ran play action in that game. And I think it's because you've got Barmore and Milton Williams, who you can kind of, as an edge player, like let them. They're the guys with the green light. They're the guys who are going to get most of your pressure. And I think Chason and Jennings and Ponder and all these guys get to just kind of float around and clean up things like boots and play action passes to the flat and things like boots and play action passes to the flat and things like that. So if it's going to be a Darnold game where he has to drop back and be a pure passer all the time, and are there going to be turnovers that sink the game? I think it's a possibility, but we'll see. There's trenches on the other side too, so we'll see.
That's exactly right. I mean, you think about the interior defensive line for the Patriots. How much of an impact did they make against the Broncos? 10 combined pressures between Barmore and Williams, and that was against, like Quinn Miners got beaten. That's an all-pro right there.
Yeah.
Yep. I know that Anthony Bradford struggled a ton this season, and I don't think the Seahawks' interior offensive line is one of the strong units of the team, frankly.
Yeah.
So that matchup is going to be big, and pressure up the middle can be really tough to deal with. We've seen Sam not only can they prevent him from play action, but can they get him under pressure? Sam had a very good game against the Rams, but over the course of his career and a lot of times during this season has struggled under pressure. The thing that makes me still feel okay about the Seahawks is that I kind of think that they've got a big defensive line advantage or trenches advantage on the other end, right? I mean, their defensive line is incredibly talented, and we've seen the Patriots' offensive line really struggle throughout these playoffs, especially Will Campbell. They've got a number of guys on the edge they can throw out. Obviously, Murphy and Leonard Williams have been fantastic, so we talk about, I think a lot of people look at this game like there's blowout potential, right?
Yeah.
Just because of how the Seahawks defense has been playing. And I don't know if it'll be a blowout. I've got a 20-10 prediction right now. But we talked about on Stay Hot, the path to that blowout is if that Seahawks defensive line just overwhelms the Patriots O-line.
Some fumbles from May. Yeah.
And May sits in the pocket too long like he's been tending to in these playoffs, it could get ugly. That's the route to it.
I think I'll stick with the trenches analogy. I think why the Seahawks defense is so successful because if somehow the trench falls, they have tanks behind the trench. You know what I mean? They have some of the best open field tacklers in the league, and that should help. But again, Patriots defensive line is not something to scoff at, and really has been. The Seahawks have been very successful with the run game, particularly in their last 5 or 6 games, and that's allowed their offense to open up, allow Sam Darnold to be successful in play action. The last question I'm going to ask you guys today will help us kind of lead into our next segment that we're going to do here, but each of you guys give me maybe one player from each team that you think could be an X factor in the game.
Let's see, an X factor in the game.
I'll say Shaheed for the Seahawks. I think that there's potential for the Patriots to throw a lot of attention towards JSN and say, like, we just don't want to lose this straight up. Now, maybe they trust Gonzo one-on-one and run that way a little bit, but if the Patriots sell out to stop JSN, the Seahawks are going to need another winner. So whether or not Shaheed's able to, get a big win deep or not and make them respect him that way could be a pretty big swing factor.
I'll go with Ramondre Stevenson, or maybe for an X factor, you could throw Travion Henderson in there too. These Patriots backs, they are capable of a lot, I feel like, and Stevenson has been playing really well. They've been able to run it when everybody knows they're going to run it in these playoffs, and if he can kind of consistently get through like Kyron Williams did last week and make it 2nd and 7 and then 3rd and 2, like, oh my gosh, that would be so helpful when the Patriots have been living in like 3rd and 10. I think when you look at the 2 high shells that the Seahawks like to run, there's a lot of room underneath.
Yeah.
I think checkdowns will be big for him. I think if you're a gambling man, like I would look at his receiving props for sure. And he could be somebody that might have to be the Patriots' best offensive player.
Yeah, I think for gambling, we can't endorse gambling on the show, but I think group consensus as a whole, the pick that we've been loving is Jake Bobo over half a reception, just because that's a guy that would get the people fired up for sure. But thank you guys so much again for coming on. Like I said at the end of the last segment, if you guys want to catch them, Spawn Hour on TikTok, right? And then Theo Ash as well on TikTok. And then, of course, the 3 of them have their great podcast, the Stay Hot Podcast. We'll be right back with another segment after this short break. You've been watching One on One.
Welcome back into one-on-one. Brendan Shorey here, joined by Chris Carino. What was that face?
I was just trying to trip you up.
Joined by Chris Carino and Owen Kelty now. Our turn to talk about this Super Bowl.
Tucker, you got a big pop out of Tucker Austin on that one.
did.
He almost rocked back and fell
Tucker
backwards.
did love that
Tucker
one.
also almost flipped the chair. That would be kind of awesome. We should steal one of these. I need kitchen table chairs, so we might need to steal one of these chairs.
You need
No one heard
kitchen
that.
table chairs for here or for back at your apartment?
I don't know how you get this on a plane, but at home.
And
Anyway, it's
that
not
might be a
important.
problem for when we're back in the Bronx. But while we are here, we have the Super Bowl coming up on Sunday, the Seahawks and the Patriots. And I know we talked about it yesterday and we gave our picks. And we kind of wrote in on our rundown earlier to look at the possible X factors in this game. Who is going to be almost an unexpected hero this week? And Chris, you're a Seahawks fan. I'll start with you here. Just on the Seahawks side, offense or defense, do you see any players who aren't necessarily on the radar that are going to make a big impact in this game?
You said offense, right?
Offense or defense?
So I think the offense, the layman's pick is Jake Bobo. I think Jake is great.
Two catches.
And Jake, what?
2 catches.
All right. I think Jake is great. He's kind of become almost a cult classic in a way to similar movies like Rocky Horror Picture Show, other movies like that. Maybe not winning an Oscar, but have just a heavy fan base behind them. Jake Bobo reminds me of that. But, Brendan, I'm not going to go the layman's pick. I'm not going to go the easy pick.
No,
I'm
no,
going to
you're not.
switch.
How is Jake Bobo the easy pick?
Because everybody, every guy who
Andover
thinks he
legend.
knows ball,
North
who
Andover
doesn't
legend.
know ball, is saying how much they love Jake Bobo.
Everyone
Because
loves
every
Jake
guy
Bobo.
named-
How is
That's
he-
what
how
I
is
mean.
he the
Everybody
X
loves
factor?
Jake Bobo.
How
Why
is he
would
how
that
is
be
he
the dark
how is
horse
he the
pick?
X factor? Also, Nick Imori just did not practice today.
Yeah.
That's
okay.
new. I
Okay.
just
All right.
got it out.
That's good. It's good information. He was going to either be limited or out, and
Didn't
Mike
practice.
elected for out.
First name basis with Coach?
Coach.
I did
Coach-
talk to him.
Coach
today.
McDonald.
I did
to
talk
you.
to him.
It's
Today.
Coach McDonald
I
to
did
you.
talk
Talk to
to
him with
today.
some respect,
doesn't matter.
please.
I
Put some
I couldn't say that in any other day of my life. but
Put some respect on his name.
made Mr. McDonald. Back to what we were talking about. No, everybody's just very hot on Jake Bobo, and rightfully so. He's a great guy. But where I go, on the other side of the ball, a guy who got a lot of shine a couple weeks ago in the NFC Championship, a guy who is a backup, a rookie for this Seahawk team. Drake Thomas goes down for the Seahawks, and in his place, Tyrese Knight slides in for the Seahawks, and he was absolutely fantastic in that second level for the Seahawks. The Seahawks fans have seen him on special teams all year long, but when he's given chances defensively, he excels. I feel like whether it's a special teams play or a defensive play, Tyrese Knight's going to have a big moment in this game, and that might lead to the game changing completely, Brendan.
Yeah, I can definitely see it on the secondary side. I'm gonna go the opposite route.
Okay.
I am going on
You
the
a Patriot right now?
I'm not doing a Patriot.
Okay.
No. We'll all do.
bananas.
We'll all go Seahawks first, and then we can kind of flip it.
All right. That's fair.
and go Patriots.
Okay. All right.
I'm gonna look at the offensive line here for the Seahawks, and it's hard to just single out one person on an offensive line. I'm gonna take the entire offensive line.
Ooh.
I'm gonna.
You know you could do that.
Judge is going to allow that.
Oh.
The judge will allow
Overruled.
that.
The judge, the A-host, so it controls all.
The judge, the A-host, will allow that.
God, Brendan. Brendan is God.
I am. I'm the judge. I'm
The
judge.
Almighty.
The almighty judge. I will take the Seahawks offensive line. I think you look at the interior of that Patriots defensive line, and that's really where it's going to be. The game is going to be won is in the trenches right there. And if the Seahawks offensive line is able to get enough push on those run plays, they're able to pass protect well enough against Barmore and Milton Williams, I think that this game will become a lot easier on Sam Darnold, therefore a lot easier for the Seahawks.
Yeah, I do agree with the O-line. For me, I think Sam Darnold is the X factor. I know he's played very well in these playoffs, but there's just still a part of me that can't get rid of the idea that Sam Darnold could just go out there and have a bad game. Like, I know he's a good quarterback. He's performed well in these playoffs, but there's still, against a very good defense like the Patriots, I think if he takes care of the ball, that's the most important thing. He just can't turn it over. And I don't think he's going to need to make these extravagant throws, extravagant plays, but he just needs to, I think, play a simple game, and I think that's the most important thing for the Seahawks. So I think he's the X factor. Obviously, they have a ton of weapons.
Does he turn it over?
What?
Do you think he turns it over?
there's like a thought in my head, and I don't know why. Like I do think the
That
Seahawks
is-
are going
that
to
is
win, but that
new.
he could come out and really just like throw three picks. Like I don't know why. But I also think he could also.
It's like a
have
dream you had.
Yeah, like I'm expecting him to play well because he's been phenomenal through these playoffs. Last game, what was it, Chris? 350 and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Like and the game before that.
And I
too,
jokingly
was,
before the game said he was going to throw for 400, and I was close.
game
actually.
before that.
Cap over here.
Didn't turn the
LeBron,
ball over, correct, right?
LeBron.
Yeah, the cap over
LeBron,
here.
Cap,
yeah,
yeah.
you called it. But I do think he's the X factor. If he plays well, they will win. But if he turns the ball over against this Patriots defense, I think that the Patriots offense might be able to score enough. But I think Sam Darnold's the X factor in this game.
Yeah, looking at this Patriots defense, I think it's a unit that's been very good throughout the playoffs, and a lot of people are going to come at them for the schedule that they've played. They've played a Chargers team with half their offensive line hurt. They've played a Texans team that already had a below-average offense, but then you take Nico Collins out of the equation for that game. And then a Broncos team in the AFC Championship with no Bo Nix, with Jarrett Stidham instead. And the offense hasn't necessarily been great in those games. The defense has kind of won that. You look at that AFC Championship, the reason they were able to score so easily on that one possession was because their defense forced a Jarrett Stidham fumble in the red zone. You look at the C.J. Stroud game where they held the Texans' offense. The most multiple points for the Texans that game came from their defense. Their defense did score. Their offense was very lackluster. Back to the first game, the Chargers game, they were getting after Justin Herbert, closed that game out with a sack on 4th down on Herbert. So the defense has been playing great for the Patriots. My question lies in if the offense can play.
Yeah, the Seahawks fans have dealt with
that they won.
And he was so good.
In LA.
17-point comeback.
He was so good in the second half of that game. Shaheed obviously starts it off, kickstarts what is an improbable comeback, but Sam marches down the field multiple times in a calm, composed nature and scored exactly how the Seahawks needed him to at the exact point when the Seahawks needed him to.
And not to mention all the 2-point conversions in that one
I mean,
that they
including-
needed
yeah.
on 2-point conversions there.
Including Sorbert to end the game.
That rigged
Charbonnet.
2-point conversion. Yeah, that was.
It's rigged until you learn that in practice every week of the entire season, Mike McDonald teaches his guys on dead balls to pick up the football. Pick up the football in case something like that would happen, and the ball is possessed by whoever has it last. So you can call it luck. But Owen, let me finish. They're cutting me off. Owen, instead of calling it luck, sometimes you put yourself in position to get lucky. That's what the Seahawks did by practicing that every week. Zach Charbonnet picks up that ball, which is put in his that every week. Zach Charbonnet picks up that ball, which is put in his brain by Mike McDonald. Thank you very much.
He picked the ball up to give it back to the ref. I don't think he was intentionally.
Because he slightly reaches his hand over the goal line because the ball is standing on the goal line. The full ball is not over the plane. He gets it over the plane and then hands it back, meaning that he was like, all right, let's make sure. Here.
You cave in that easily?
I'm not going to cave, but there's
right.
no point arguing over a game that was 9 weeks ago.
No, I agree. And I think that was the game in a similar fashion to how we've talked about it throughout the last couple of days. That was the game that gave the Seahawks this confidence. I think the Texan game
100%.
on Monday Night Football was a marquee win with Njigba dunking into the end zone. But I think that Rams game, that comeback, was the real game that gave Seahawks fans the Super Bowl sort of confidence.
That was
Correct me if I'm wrong.
There's confidence and then there's Super Bowl confidence.
Chris, correct me if I'm wrong. They haven't lost since then.
No, they have not. No, not
They
since the Ram game.
They have not lost since that Ram game. They've
No.
been on a roll.
Hasn't really been close.
And that's
either.
when
The last Ram game was close, obviously. The Ram comeback was close. But aside from that, it hasn't really been close.
A lot of questions we hear at these press conferences, too, about Sam Darnold and about the Seahawks offense have been, how has he limited the turnovers since Week 11? How has he just been so good since Week 11? Because that's what the Seahawks offense has been. Mind you, he hasn't had to do a whole lot in the playoffs outside of last game. It was a pretty, I don't want to say easy path, but pretty dominant effort all around, especially against the 49ers, where he didn't have to do a whole lot that game.
And when he doesn't have to do a lot, Brendan, he doesn't. I think that's the big part of what's made Sam successful recently. He's not trying to do too much. Kenneth Walker has ironically been the guy to get the Seahawks started in these big games
He's
recently.
Unbelievable. He's untackleable.
From a first-half perspective,
It's
you
insane.
can't get more momentum than Kenneth Walker and how he's played, and then how that parlays then immediately into Sam. And I think Sam's play has almost reacted to how Kenneth has played, and they sort of bounce off each other.
Watching these Seahawks games these last couple of weeks, it feels like on that first drive, a Kenneth Walker screen is a lot of times their starting go-to play, and it just because he's untackleable. I very similar juke ability, I'd say, like to Saquon, but even more. Like sometimes this guy's impossible to tackle. It seems like a lot of times.
Two guys with the center of gravity of like a tree trunk.
And it gets them started every drive. You see him throw a screen, and it seems like, all right, negative play to start the drive. Then you get a 15-yard gain, first play of the game, screen. And then then the offense starts flowing, and it really gets them going, I think, every single game. And it's worked. And it keeps, I think, Sam Darnold from getting over his head and being like, I need to make a play right now. It's like I can just dump this ball down, and this guy's just going to go out there and make a play.
And Kenneth's become a more conservative runner. I mean, I think the thing that makes Kenneth special is when he makes that weird cutback and he makes that random move where you almost can't explain it, but that's only so great in moderation. That's only so valuable in moderation. The way he's been able to balance conservative up front, just down your gut running, along with that sort of more acrobatic, sort of wild running, that marriage of the two, that's changed his game completely.
And it makes Darnold's life a whole lot easier.
A whole lot easier.
Because then you have, as Kubiak, you have a run game that you can rely on. So then you game plan in a way where you are able to throw the play action off of that very easily because the defense is going to be either expecting the run, dropping down 7-8 guys into the box, opening up a lot in the secondary, and then from that point on, it's a chess match. If they drop back out, put more guys back in the secondary, drop guys out of the box, you go back to the run. You get Kenneth Walker going. You get, well, not this game, but for what has been this season, Zach Charbonnet going on those runs as well.
Who is now injured for the season, hasn't played in a few games and won't play in this one. Halani has sort of subbed in him along with Arroyo, the two two roster additions heading into the NFC Championship. Arroyo, the third-string tight end now, but Halani, a good guy to slide into that running back room, serviceable enough to do, like you said, open up that pass game and just kind of open up the whole offense in general.
And I think what we saw during the regular season as well is a close to even split between Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet. Now that Charbonnet's out, Kenneth Walker is getting a majority of the touches with Halani kind of taking that RB2, third down running back type of role. And I think that's also another reason why we're seeing Kenneth Walker kind of explode in these playoffs is because he's being given a little bit bigger of a role, and he's taking advantage of it.
He's getting way more reps, especially with Charbonnet being hurt, and he's taking advantage of them. I think it's Chris is just waving.
Judy Batista was in the distance. I just waved. Sorry, go on. I get excited when I just go on.
I've lost train of thought. Oh no, it's Kenneth Walker.
Can't interrupt Owen.
Can't interrupt me. You know this. I can't process more than one.
And your battery's getting low. We're in the final hour.
We're in the final hour. Things are getting low, but
Kenneth
Walker has really taken advantage of more reps, and it's kind of surprised me throughout the season that he hasn't gotten the ball as much as he has because he's been incredible this year.
Especially the meme you always see where he doesn't get it. He'll
do
all the work.
He gets it down to the one. Charbonnet tackles him. Or Charbonnet
tackles him. Maybe.
Charbonnet comes off the sideline and tackles him. It's like, this is my touchdown. It's like Jalen Hurts tush push. It's like Saquon does all the work. Jalen Hurts gets pushed in.
Right.
But I think, going back, I think now thinking about it more, I think Kenneth Walker's the X factor. If they can stop him in the passing game, because the run game, the Patriots have a very good run defense, and I don't think that's going to be as much an issue. But I think stopping those low dump-offs, stopping him in the run game, especially with his leading receivers, JSN, having a couple other guys out there, A.J. Barner, stopping, because that really is what opens up the game for Kenneth Walker. If you can just dump it off and let him go.
Did you mention the blocking tight ends as well? That's a major aspect of the running game as well. The blocking of the tight ends on this roster.
And that's what works on on those screen passes. And if you aren't able to contain Kenneth Walker, and then from there it's just going to be all Seahawks. Because I think you got to stop him, because I think you can rely on Christian Gonzalez to do his best on JSN and lock him down. If they're able to leave him on an island there, then I do think this game could favor the Patriots. But if Gonzalez can't be on an island with JSN, it's going to be hard for them to be able to stop all these guys.
If the Seahawks can get the outside run going away from the two big defensive tackles for the Patriots, they will have a good shot at being able to run the ball. That's going to be all from us here on this segment, though. Brendan Shorey,
I teased it.
Chris Carino, you did. Owen Kelty. Up next, we have an interview with Judy Batista. Chris will be on for that. So will our very own Joe Henry. And we will see you back on the other side of this break.
welcome back to One on One, live from Radio Row ahead of Super Bowl 60. Joe Henry, Chris Carino, joined now by a very special guest, Judy Batista from NFL.com, NFL Network writer and reporter, and most notably the mother of WFUV's very own Grace McCarron.
Your strongest
Junior,
credential at this
It
game.
is absolutely. I own it. It's the best thing.
Judy, thanks so much for taking the time. How's the week been for you so far?
Busy, just like your week has been. It's been nuts. It's great, though. I love the Super Bowl is like my favorite thing of the year, so it's awesome.
Absolutely.
Every year.
The culmination of a year of effort, not just for the players, but for you, too, as someone covering the
Yeah.
sport.
Yeah,
looking at this week as a whole, I want to talk media availability, your impressions, someone who's followed these teams at least loosely all season long, but to be up close and personal day after day this week. Has your impression of this game and who you think is going to win this game changed at all by attending the media events?
Joe's hoping, maybe, I think.
I think the public narrative is that this might be a blowout, but I've never thought that. Like
you are wearing Seahawks colors.
She's wearing
really.
Green.
What? Not.
That's
But
and
it's not
even the
really
same
that green.
Okay, she was
This
literally-
is
she was
like
about to
army
advocate
green.
for me.
I know, you're right. Yeah.
So I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think it's probably going to be a low-scoring game.
Yeah.
Two good defenses, and you have no idea how these quarterbacks are going to react. They've never been in anything close to this situation. So, my feeling hasn't changed about it. I was sort of surprised when I got here, and everybody was like, "Oh, this is going to be a walkover for the Seahawks." I'm like, "Really? I don't see that." But okay, whatever.
And my question was going to be, how long have you been doing this every year with the Super Bowl? And have you ever seen such a lopsided sort of just general opinion from everybody coming into a Super Bowl?
I think this is my 25th.
Wow. What was the first?
The first, I covered back in the day, like when I worked at the Miami Herald, when I was young, like I did a sidebar duty when, they would always have Super Bowls down in Miami.
Yeah.
So that was really my first. But then when I started as an NFL writer was the 2000 Super Bowl.
Okay. Ravens-Giants?
Ravens-Giants. Actually, which brings me, that's a good segue, because I think the most lopsided going into a game was the perfect season Patriots, 2007 versus the Giants. They were like 14-point underdogs, and people thought it was a joke.
Yeah.
Like and I remember the opening night. At that time, you used to meet the teams. You could have availability with the teams after they got off the plane. And I remember Belichick was so loose and in such a good mood. Tom Petty was the halftime act, and he was joking about what a big Tom Petty fan he was, and he was so sorry he was going to miss him because it would be halftime and he'd be in the locker room with the team. And I'm like, he is so loose. He knows they are just going to kill the Giants. And then it's like the greatest.
Maybe it was too loose.
Maybe it was. That is by far the best game I ever covered. That was amazing.
Wow, that's number one for you all time.
It's the best Super Bowl just because of all of the elements. That was the Spygate season
of this game, and they won. The underdog won it outright. I can't even imagine what that was like that week, and then to see the game.
Yeah, they were. I mean, the Giants. They had a fantastic game plan, right? I mean, the defensive pressure was just tremendous. Eli was tremendous. The Tyree helmet catch, obviously. I mean, it was just shocking. Great performance.
When you shift focus to this year's game, does it not feel like attending both media availabilities, the Seahawks have that level of, maybe not in the same way that Belichick had that level of looseness because he was perhaps overconfident, but this level of comfortability that you just wouldn't expect from a team that was not expected to be anywhere near this position and that has virtually their entire team playing in its first Super Bowl?
I think both teams are really loose, and I think part of it may be that sort of feeling of like we're not even supposed to be here. We're so far ahead of schedule. Like you're playing with house money. That there's not pressure. There's obviously pressure, but I mean there's no expectations.
They've already exceeded them.
It's
both teams.
way exceeded the expectations. I mean, at least the Seahawks playoffs last year. I mean, the Patriots were just so far ahead of where they're supposed to be at this point. So I think they're both loose. They're just, obviously they want to win, but I mean, it's just they're so far ahead of what we thought they'd be.
And this many Super Bowls in a row, is there certain characteristics with teams that you see maybe have success, maybe don't have success?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a cliche. You hear teams say it all the time, like it's a really close group. But I think there is something to that.
Yeah.
Like I think teams teams that perform well are generally teams that are really tight. They're on the same page, right? They like are driving toward the same goal. Like it sounds like cliches, but I think it's true that like you have to have sort of a single focus and all be driving in the same direction. And we all see teams that like are not driving in the same direction or pulling in opposite directions, and you see what happens to those teams. So I do think there's something to that, and I definitely think these two teams have that, especially the Patriots in particular is so stark because they were, the last 2 seasons where they were 4-win teams, I mean, especially last year, it was so bad, and you could see almost immediately the difference that Vrabel had when he came in. Just everybody is single-minded and on the same page and together.
Yeah, I'm curious as to why that is. I mean, you've talked to so many head coaches over your time covering this sport, but these 2 head coaches, Vrabel in year 1, McDonald in year 2, have totally short-circuited the rebuilding process for either of these teams. What is it about them, and you're working with them, hearing from them, that you think most has translated into an early Super Bowl appearance?
Well, first of all, they both are working with really good rosters, and that is also a credit to the player acquisition process and the general managers. I mean, obviously, John Schneider is the best in the business, and the masterstroke was getting Sam Darnold, right? I mean, they saw something, and they thought he was still ascending after the Vikings, and they shipped out Geno Smith, who had played really well for them. So that was their masterstroke. And then, the Patriots did a lot of work turning over that rough season. They spent a lot of money in free agency, but they spent it really well, and they hit on like basically everybody. They drafted well. And then in terms of the coaches, I think they're pretty similar, not just because they both come from defensive backgrounds, but they're like very good at attention to detail. Like they're really good at game management situations. Like they don't screw up clock management, which you see so many NFL coaches do. They're just, they're really good in red zone. They're really good in 2-minute. They're really, really good at that, and they've got their teams really well prepared for it.
Yeah, and just both of them, similarly to what you just said, I felt like both guys are similar, Mike McDonald and Mike Vrabel, in certain ways, but they have key differences. What are your just general thoughts of those two guys, even just off the field, their personalities?
Is still like as much of a
Has he changed
smart
much?
ass? No, as he was as a player. I mean, this is exactly. I mean, he's definitely toned it down.
But I know what you
but
mean.
like you can sort of see. I mean, when you watch them at practice, like when you can see practice during training camps and mini camps, like he is in there like physically, like, and you're just like,
he had a bloody lip at the AFC
right?
Championship,
Like,
didn't
does he understand that he is like not a 22-year-old anymore? So he's still got a little bit of that edge. 22-year-old anymore? So he's still got a little bit of that edge, but they both have, I think, a really good way with players. Like they're obviously tough on them. They coach them hard. They're demanding. They have high expectations, but they also have a very good way of understanding like when you have to rebuild a player's confidence and how to do that. And like the scenes of Vrabel standing outside the locker room, win or lose, and greeting each player individually, like, that goes a long way. Like players respond to that, and it's clear both of them just have a great way of being around their players.
Yeah, 2 coaches, totally different backgrounds, but each have gotten their teams to attach to them in a really strong way, and it's no surprise these are the teams that end up in the Super Bowl. I want to pivot offbeat a little bit here. We'll start. I have a couple things actually I wanted to bring up. First of all, on a more somber note, Washington Post sports section has been dissolved.
Awful.
I wanted to hear your thoughts on that. As someone who's worked at a major newspaper in the sports section, what does this mean for the sports industry that a decision like this would be made, especially at this time?
I mean, it's devastating. It was the best sports section in the country, and they blew it up. It's devastating. It's ill-considered. It's stupid. The sports section, somebody made a point, I'm going to steal this point, but it was a really good one, that like when people used to still read like physical newspapers in the airport, the section that was always missing because the people took it was the sports section.
Yeah.
That is the thing that like binds communities together. I just think it is so misguided to have done that. And I mean, they got rid of many other journalists too, not just the sports section, foreign reporters, the book section, like just so many things that make major papers and respected major papers. It's terrible. I feel terrible for so many friends who work there, some of whom are here, who got laid off, by Zoom while we were here. Wow. It's just terrible. And I'm not sure how they think this is the way forward for the Washington Post to succeed. It's just it was terrible.
I thought you put it really well. Sports is something that brings communities together.
Yeah,
that feels like
truly.
such a vital part of the news process here in our country. On a happier note, National Girls and Women in Sports Day was yesterday. Of course, women in sports media, the journey that you guys have had spanning decades, but when you entered the industry, now you have a daughter who's going to enter the industry.
Oh my gosh.
Speak to your experience as a woman in sports media, the adversity you've gone through, and also the development you've seen, and how proud you are of Grace as well, because we were remiss not to talk about
Well, I mean, she's the best, obviously. Hi, Grace. She's the best. I'm immensely proud of her, no matter what she's doing. I mean, I think just if you look around Radio Row, you see many more women than certainly when I started. There's women right next to us. Like, they're everywhere. There's still not enough, certainly. I did not have a particularly adverse path. Like, I was very, very lucky to work at newspapers with editors that had very diverse staffs long before that was a thing that everybody focused on. And so I always had colleagues, male and female, who were very supportive. I never felt alone. And I also I think part of it was I was always lucky I worked in bigger markets. And so those people were much more aware of having women around and supporting women. And so I was lucky to cover teams that were supportive of it. I want to give a shout out. Mike Vrabel is really good at it. He makes a point of always letting a woman ask the first question in his press conferences, because he knows it's not easy for women in the business. So shout out to Mike Vrabel.
And by first name, which I always appreciate.
Yeah, that is some level of insight that you would not expect a head coach to even think about. So credit to him. I mean, it's certainly come a long way, and it is nowhere near where it should be yet. I mean, we're still well behind where it should be.
What do you think is the next step in advocating for women in sports media?
Well, we need to get to a point where it's not even a topic, right? I mean, we need to get to that, and it's still very much a topic.
Absolutely. Chris, maybe swivel it back to football here. I know it's been a rough couple of topics.
Right.
Yeah,
let's get off the societal issue.
I was going to rebut on that, but even a sport like football, not traditionally played by women, the roles are even more limited. How have you seen, in your 25 years of covering the Super Bowl, how have you seen the role expand for women and the role change for women as it's sort of evolved?
Well, I mean, first of all, you see many more women just covering it, number one. You see a lot more women in bigger roles with teams and with the league, right? Like, you see more women executives at the league. You see more women coaches. You see, you have an owner, the Irsay daughters, Carly Irsay Gordon, who is the primary owner now of the Indianapolis Colts. They inherited the team from their father, Jim, who I was very lucky to have a good relationship with, and he talked a lot about how proud he was that they wanted to take over the team. They wanted to run the team, and he spent years getting them ready for it, like exposing them to every part of it.
So when you see her on the sideline, that's
awesome.
not surprising
Not
as much
at
as it is
all.
for the rest of the country.
She'd been doing that for years, and you just didn't pay attention because she wasn't the primary owner.
I don't think that's known around the public.
No, it's not. I don't think it's known.
Very
but like because he learned coming up on the football side, right?
Yeah.
He was, and so she wanted to do it that way, but he exposed them to everything, right? Like the accounting department, the ticket sales department, marketing, all of that. But you do see women, right? Like Dawn Aponte just accepted a big job. She worked in the league office in football operations as a football operations executive, and now she's going to be in a big job for the New York Giants. So, like, you see more women in high-ranking positions in organizations and in the league, and that's certainly progress, because that definitely did not exist when I started.
And keeps you hopeful as well, in a time where it's hard to be.
It's hard to be hopeful. Yeah, there are days that it's not very hopeful at all.
And to also give another good transition, why should Patriot fans be hopeful on Sunday? Even going to what you said about the perception, I think some Patriot fans can feel slightly overwhelmed by just how much of a favorite the Seahawks are this week.
I mean, Patriots fans should be so
nudging the guy.
So happy though. Like, I don't think anybody. I mean, I think when they hired Vrabel, you knew Vrabel was a good coach from Tennessee.
That felt like the move a couple years ago.
That was the move, right? Like, you knew. I mean, the fact that they fired him from Tennessee is a separate conversation and crazy, ridiculous.
And that Gerard Mayo was selected so
right. He was sort of thrust in much sooner than they thought because they thought Belichick was going to be there a few more years and they could bring him up slowly. Anyway. So you knew that was the right move. I don't know if nobody thought that the turnaround was going to be this fast. Nobody. They were a 4-win team last year, and they hit on so many players in free agency and in the draft. Obviously, because he is Mike Vrabel, he can command a really impressive coaching staff. Josh McDaniels coming back as the offensive coordinator was gigantic for Drake May, and you see the development of Drake May. So it just all came together. They should be very hopeful. I have no idea what's going to happen in this game, but I mean, they're obviously here to stay. You know, they've got a great young team.
Yeah, and this is more just curious from hearing you talk about it. This is something I've wondered for, I think, a few years. A guy like McDaniel, who is so talented in the coordinator role and so effective in the coordinator role, why doesn't it work at the head coach level? Speaking, of course, on the other side for a guy like Clint Kubiak, who's going to go and make that leap to Vegas next year.
You see that a lot, right? Like, some people are really, really good coordinators, and their head coach is a much different job. Like, it is a CEO type of job. I covered Herm Edwards when he first was the Jets coach, and I can remember a conversation with him saying, and Tony Dungy had mentored him and brought him into meetings and tried to get him ready to be a head coach. So he was as prepared as you could be.
Right.
And I remember him telling me, you can't imagine the stuff that crosses a head coach's desk. Like, how much stuff. Everything from, this player just got arrested, this player's wife is pregnant and he may have to miss the game.
Right.
This player just, his mom just died. Like,
a true CEO.
A true CEO. And then things like, what kind of catering do you want on the team flight? When do you want the team flight to leave? What city do you want to stay in on the road? What hotel would you like to stay? Like, all of that and like, you have to learn what to delegate and what you have to decide on, what you have to handle on top of actually coaching the team and the X's and O's part. So I think it's hard for first-time head coaches, like, because I think it's overwhelming. And some of them learn and are really good at it, and some of them take a while to get good at it, and some of them don't ever get good at it. And I think Josh McDaniels is a brilliant developer of quarterbacks, right? I mean, Tom Brady and now Drake May. But maybe he just is not a good head coach, and that's fine because he's a great offensive coordinator.
And just to also bring it back locally, one more, Joe, sorry. Just to bring it back locally, with the Giants hiring a new head coach, John Harbaugh, is that CEO sort of vibe that you were just talking about, does that ring true for John Harbaugh?
That's definitely
Is
him.
that where his value is?
Yeah, that's definitely him. He is – I mean, you can already see the changes he's made at the Giants. Like, he is looking at the entire operation, everything, right? The – strength and conditioning team, the medical staff, like, he's looking at the whole unit. And I mean, John Harbaugh's value is in that, but he's also, he's got a long history of success. That brings a lot of credibility into the building that just frankly has been absent. They've gone with new coaches for the last few cycles, and it just hasn't worked. And I think this was the no-brainer hire of the entire cycle. Was like, as soon as John Harbaugh became available, it was like, okay, he needs to be the Giants coach.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But we're talking coaching. It feels like it's going to be a chess match on Sunday. You said potentially low scoring. Before we let you go, we have to ask, and I hope I'm not putting you on the spot too much.
You can't predict
I
what
have
he's about
not
to ask.
made a prediction.
You haven't.
I have not made a prediction.
On 90.7, we need a game prediction. We need a winner.
For us.
Oh,
we
a winner.
Need a score.
Oh, my
for
gosh.
For Grace.
I don't think I can do that. I'm not sure I'm allowed to do this. Can I just say I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I honestly have no idea who's going to win the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's close.
I do think it'll be close. I'll be surprised if it's not close, and I'll definitely be surprised if it's like 47-45. Like, I don't see that at all.
And you would be less surprised than a lot of the rest of the media if the Patriots won this one.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be surprised by either team. Yeah, not at all.
Okay, because you know that the person sitting to your left is saying
you like
3
that
scores.
spin zone too.
Right.
No,
I'm saying
like
3. If Nick's going to play
Thank
on
you for being
healthy,
so
if
kind.
Amon Warrior's going to play on healthy, 2 scores instead of 3.
Yeah, but you don't know. Listen, we don't know what Drake May's shoulder situation is. I know they say it's great and everything's fine, and of course he's going to play. But like, okay,
And
it's
Sam's
still
oblique.
And Sam's oblique. Now that's a little bit further back,
Right,
so
yeah.
he's played through it already. But like, Drake May, like, are you
Are
okay?
you okay?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
A lot of question marks. Judy Batista not ready to answer them just yet, but that's
I
all
thought I
right.
tap danced very nicely, though.
She absolutely. Gracefully,
Judy Batista,
too.
NFL.com, NFL Network. Thank you so much for taking the time. We'll be right back with more one-on-one.
welcome in. So thanks again to Judy Batista for we're over to talk to a parent of one of our Joe. Change.
Oh, there we go.
Thought Joe put up the WFUV.
Intentional change.
I thought he put over them. Yeah, he does. It's the NFL Honors Award Show. It's the show where they announce awards. We already know that Patriots the assistant coach has been leading the actual award show. For this conversation, we're going to work our way from bottom to topics to be of the award. I'm not personally a fan of having these award ceremonies at the bottom. These are regular season awards, and never do this. I know why. And I know they submit their ballots before, but I'm just it's impossible not to think about something.
Not at all. Because half the guys are playoffs.
Yeah. Well, also playoffs start pretty much immediately after the season, so you don't really have any time to sneak the award show in. But the championship and the Super Bowl, that's plenty of time.
The show include people's playoff in it.
The show.
I thought you were saying include what people do in the playoffs.
No, I was saying it's like impossible to not in your mind kind of think about what certain players do in the playoffs.
I do agree with
and
that.
So I think they should just. It's same with the Heisman.
Isn't the Heisman right?
Yeah, but it's like it's after conference chips, but it's conference
chips aren't supposed to count. Right?
Yeah, but they definitely do.
They do count.
Like, let's be honest, whoever won the Ohio State Indiana game was going to win the Heisman.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
Okay. They vote right after the last game of the season. So
okay. Starting with the Coach of the Year, the finalists are Liam Cohen of the Jags, Ben Johnson of the Bears, Mike McDonald of the Seattle. Seahawks, Kyle Shanahan of the 49ers, and Mike Vrabel of the New England Patriots. We heard my take yesterday. I think Mike McDonald is Coach of the Year, but I'll let you guys talk.
I think Mike McDonald's third in that race. I think Vrabel takes it
too.
I like
Third to
Vrabel.
who, though?
Kyle Shanahan.
Well,
they made the playoffs.
McDonald, the defensive-minded head coach.
Defensive-minded
Is
head
Kyle
coach.
Shanahan offensive-minded head coach?
Yes. I would argue what Kyle Shanahan did was more impressive.
And with the game on the line, with the 1 seed and the division on the line at home, the Niners. The Niners didn't score a touchdown.
Did I not list all the injuries just now?
They didn't
the amount of
score a
defensive
touchdown.
injuries you have. Brock Purdy missed. How many games this season? You have God knows who playing at
Mike
receiver
McDonald
because Ayuk is out, Pearsall is out.
Mike McDonald won the best division in football, got the 1 seed after missing the playoffs last year, and
with a fully healthy team.
So you
can argue that
with a fully
Mike
healthy
Vrabel
team.
won the 1 seed with a team that won 4 games last year. Ben Johnson took a Bears team.
Mike Vrabel didn't get the 1 seed.
The Patriots were the 1 seed.
No, they were not. They were the 2 seed.
Okay,
that's why I'm saying
they won less games.
They won 14 games. They still won 14 games.
The Seahawks won.
Liam Cohen took a Jags team
the
to
same
win
amount of games
13
against
wins.
an infinitely harder schedule in an infinitely better division.
Yeah, but
you're looking at first-year head
coaches. Liam Cohen and Ben Johnson both took very bad franchises. The Bears won their division. The Bears have completely turned everything around. Or you can argue Ben Johnson should have won it. Liam Cohen, the Jags, completely changed that franchise. And then
Head-to-head against McDonald this season, what is it?
That has nothing to do with Coach of the Year.
Yeah, it does.
Their head-to-head has nothing to do with it.
Head-to-head does have
The
stuff
only
to
reason you're saying you think it's Mike McDonald is because you're a Seahawks
No,
fan.
not at all.
You
Yes,
have
it
full
is.
bias. That's what you're
No,
going to say.
it's not.
If you
We're
were to go through these
unbiased,
awards
you
and you're
would
going to say
say
Seahawk
Vrabel.
for every single award, and you'd be like, well, this
No,
is
I'm
why.
not.
So let's talk about head-to-head.
There's only I think there's
Every award there's a Seahawk in, you're going to say the Seahawks
I think
should
one
win
of mine is I think one of mine is not like is a reach more than I think one
They're
of mine is
all
a
a
reach.
reach.
No, they're not.
Except-
JSN is clearly the offensive player of the year.
You can argue other guys there.
Oh, and if you're gonna complain at me for arguing Mike McDonald, then I don't want to hear it when you argue against JSN as offensive player of the year. I feel like that's a pretty friendly. Like Tucker, you don't even have to talk, but like I feel like it's not
even comparable.
It's not exactly controversial. It's not exactly a hot take to be like JSN is the offensive player of the year. You know what I'm saying? Like
I'm not saying it's not a hot take, but saying Mike McDonald, like there's McDonald, like there's so many other coaches better than him.
His team had the best. His team was the best team. They had the best season.
It's not just about who's the best team.
You
It's
have to think about
what
the year
happened
before,
from
what's happened
year to
in the
year.
season.
Vrabel
What
got brought
adversity
in.
have they faced?
Vrabel got brought into a 4-win
What
team.
adversity have they faced?
Hold on. Vrabel
What
came
adversity
in.
have the Patriots faced?
He came into a
They had
4-win
4
team
wins
with a
last year.
second-year quarterback.
The Giants have the same wins against teams with winning records than the Patriots do this season.
It was a team with
Suit
4
them for
wins.
their schedule. They don't pick their schedule. They don't
What?
pick their schedule. They just go out and play. And a second-year quarterback on a team that won 4 games last year with a first-year head coach went out and won 14 games and got the 2 seed.
Yeah, and then a second-year coach went out in a way harder division.
How many wins did
and-
the Seahawks have last year? How many wins did the Seahawks have last year?
10.
Not to mention they brought in.
So a 10-win team grew to a 13-win team, a 4-win team grew to a 14-win team. They had 10 more wins, and you're arguing they get. Oh,
We
we
all
almost
to
had
mention-
3 more wins.
Not to
Highest
mention
point
they
differential
brought
in the
in.
highest point differential in the
Not
league.
to mention you guys brought in a quarterback who
Seahawks
won
had the highest
14
point
games
differential in the league
last
by a
year.
mile. It wasn't just they won 14 games at the 1 seed. They dominated their way to the 1 seed. Do you know how many the Seahawks have lost 3 games this season? Do you know how many of those? Do you know what the point differential of those losses combined
Go ahead.
is?
Let us know.
They've lost their 3 games this season by a combined 9 points. They didn't lose. They didn't lose the entire last 6. They went undefeated.
Yeah, but you should
from
also
November.
argue. Then you could argue the opposite for Ben Johnson is that he won all those close games.
Yeah.
He coached them out of all those situations and helped them win those games.
Yeah, again, I think he had a great season. I just think he didn't have as good of a season.
First-year head coach.
I think if Ben Johnson
won
would
the
have,
first Bears
I think if
division
Ben Johnson,
in what, how many years? Someone know? Anyone know?
I think
a million probably. The Bears ever win the division? No, they won the division this
It's been
year.
a while.
In a good division.
when's the last time the Seahawks won the division?
You tell us. You probably
4
know.
years ago, probably
6 years ago.
6. The Bears don't win. They don't win. The Bears are a disgraceful franchise.
No, I agree. I think Ben Johnson's a great coach. I think though. Yeah,
2018
yeah.
for
I also
Bears.
think again.
That's double doink.
Again, also
Double doink here.
Ben
Yeah.
Johnson,
Thank
also
you, Joe
like
Henry.
had the like Ben Johnson was great. I think it was a game where like I thought Ben Johnson was going to win Coach of the Year. I forget though there was a game that I believe kind of ruined that for him because I did say like yeah like I think Mike McDonald deserves Coach of the Year. I was saying this like weeks and weeks ago, but I also acknowledge like if Ben Johnson does this, then he's probably Coach of the Year. But I believe there was. Let me see. I believe there was a Bears game, but I just don't think it's ridiculous to say that the guy who coached a team with far and away the best point differential in the NFL, in record-wise the best division in the history of the NFL.
It's not the best team award. That's what you're acting like it is. It's not the best team award. It's looking at what the coach actually did for the team this year.
Okay, then in that case, Mike McDonald's a defensive coach, and the Seahawks have statistically the number 1 defense in the NFL by a lot.
Yeah.
So then that's arguing to your point. Then he deserves Coach of the Year.
No, it's Vrabel for completely changing the course of the Patriots. This was supposed to be a rebuild year. Joe, you're a Patriots fan.
We can
Yes.
play the expectation games then. We can play do you want to play the preseason expectation games then? Patriots and Seahawks had the
Go
same
cry
exact.
about the
Patriots and Seahawks had
win
the
total.
same exact expected win total. The Seahawks were projected 4th in the division going into this season. 4th. So none of the arguments work. At the end of the day, when you line it up statistically,
no, the argument still works. If they had the same expectations,
the Bears lost to the Niners and the Lions back to back. That's what it was. Because those are two the Lions loss is what did it. If they would have won those 2 games,
Yeah.
he wins Coach of the Year. Ben Johnson.
I still think it's Vrabel. We have a lot of
no,
because
then they would have been if they would have won, then they would have been the 2 seed, which would have been the exact same. They would have had the same record as the Patriots, and you could even argue that the Ben Johnson thing is debatably.
But they didn't win those.
No,
two
they
games.
didn't. That's
so
why Ben Johnson.
You can't just talk about hypotheticals.
Well then, okay.
Justin Herbert. I didn't know we were Justin Herberting right now.
Your points were what do they actually coach? Not just overall team success. I told you that Mike McDonald coaches the best defense in the NFL as a defensive-minded head coach. You said preseason expectations. Seahawks and Patriots had the same preseason expected win line. Seahawks were projected by ESPN to finish 4th in the division. So if we're talking about expectations, it's the exact same for both teams.
I'm not even arguing it should be very well. I'm arguing it should be Liam Cohen.
I think it should be Cohen over Vrabel, but I think Mike McDonald.
The Jags are the ones projected to be maybe the worst team in the league, and after what his showing was in that press conference, and he came out and won their division.
I'd be fine with Cohen. I think we can agree that Vrabel will probably.
I don't win.
No, I don't think.
I do think Vrabel. I do think he's coach of the year already in Tennessee because he's part of the list. I think of every coach of the year of the last 6 years has been fired. Shout out Brian Dable.
We got we're moving on. Comeback player of the year nominees: Stephon Diggs, Aiden Hutchinson, Trevor Lawrence, Christian McCaffrey, and Dak Prescott. McCaffrey,
it's gonna be CMC.
It shouldn't.
Why shouldn't it be?
Dak top 3.
What did Trevor Lawrence come back from being bad?
Yeah.
Oh no, he got killed by Al Shakir.
Yeah.
In that game, he got knocked unconscious. But that was also week 12.
Statistically, Dak had an MVP season, but his defense brought him down, and that's why he wasn't in the MVP race. I think he's top 3 in yards, top 3 in passing touchdowns.
Dak had an incredible season.
Yeah, he should. I think he will. I don't think he will. Though.
Okay.
I'll let you miss all last year.
Most of last year.
There's no bias on that.
I wouldn't say there's bias. I hate the Cowboys.
Okay, let's also
Dak was frying this year.
Okay.
Dak was incredible.
I think this is the one we're going to have the most argument on. Defensive rookie.
You will have the most.
Defensive rookie of the year. Nominees are Abdul Carter, Nicky Manwari, James Pierce Jr., Chris Schlesinger, and Xavier Watts. I think Schlesinger will win. However, I think